Hi guys. How are you doing? Um, well, the thing is, I usually, as I said, have a list of things we discuss, and I realized that maybe it's actually a better strategy to put it in in the name of live. I thought that just being like, oh, like Thursday pop culture news would be more catch-all, I guess. Like people would kind of be more interested. I don't know, Diva. How could he? Who are we talking about? We're talking about Mark already? Because that guy. Have you guys heard of it? I feel like most of you probably heard of it. It was quite. Like, it was discussed quite a bit online for a fucking good reason. I'm gonna tell you that much. Because I genuinely. This is like such a annoying ass situation. But there's one thing I can say, which I love to say. I told you so. You know? Hi. Mark being spotted with the flag, fearing the alt-right pipeline right now. Fearing it. Diva. We're past fearing it, past suspecting it, in my opinion. I'm gonna show you a couple of things just so you kind of know what the hell happened. So there's this group called NCT. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you probably heard of it, even if you're not really into K-pop or anything like that. They're kind of in between third and fourth generation of K-pop, I guess. I think. Regardless, they've had a fair share of their scandals in general already. However, this is like a new. Well, I mean, no, not really. It's obviously not as egregious as Taeyil, but this is actually a controversy versus a crime. Male K-pop idols trying to do something problematic, challenge impossible. Exactly. I seriously don't know what the hell their issue is. But clearly they have them. So, I'm gonna take a couple of screenshots here just to show you guys what the hell is going on, visually speaking. Because, good lord, I literally cannot today. I looked through a bunch of responses from Koreans online. They're also pissed. So he's definitely not getting away with this just because he's so far away from America, or that he's working in Korea or anything like that. It's definitely not going to help him this time. People are so pissed, they just don't give a shit. They've clearly had enough. Which I think, honestly, good for them. Sometimes I'm like, okay, finally they're holding him accountable instead of, how did I save this shit? Okay. Whatever, just vote. Just get ready. So even Pop Crave uh, tweeted about it, which is usually, you know, like they kind of uh, I guess Mark is famous enough for them to be discussed this widely. Um, Regardless, let me show you. Oh shit. Oh, okay, no, never mind. Um, the fact that there is already tensions between the Asian and Black community in the U.S. right now, this is making it worse. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people. Okay, so first and foremost, um, I'm glad they're holding his ass accountable. Also, it's super funny seeing a non-white person simp for that flag. Like, baby girl, they would kill you on sight if they had the chance. Educate yourself, dumbass. Yeah. Yeah, let's start there. Okay, so first and foremost, I saw someone talking about this when it just came out, and someone was like tweeting about it on Twitter being like, dude, I thought when I heard about it, I thought that it would be something like, oh, there's a bunch of flags on his shirt, and one of them, like one of the flags that are all over the shirt, is a Confederate flag, and he like didn't know, or they didn't notice or whatever. But no, this is so egregious. It's literally massive, right? There's no way you could say we didn't notice. Do you know what I mean? Like, exactly. Lori, exactly. Why are you wearing a flag you don't know a meaning of? And I would actually go as far as to say that it's not the best idea to be like, it just actually kind of, especially as like an idol, you say that like, oh, we're like so media trained, and they are so afraid of like doing anything wrong or even just appearing in a way that doesn't make them look pretty on camera. They're so diligent about it that they're like, their group mates would cover their faces if they're, for example, looking ugly in that moment. But you are telling me that you missed this. Right. And the thing is, um he's getting, honestly, he's getting criticism from all directions. Koreans have like their news reported on it, and then a bunch of Koreans are like talking about it on Twitter being like, you're an idiot, you're straight up dumb. And they're not wrong. They're not fucking wrong, are they? And try to say the shirt was vintage too, like, bro, we can clearly see that's fresh from the printing press. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if it would have been vintage. That's what I don't understand. Okay, so if you've seen the fucking the apology, okay, let me see if I can pull it up, because it's so ridiculous. Like, you gotta see it. It's so fucking. And the thing is, I have said this before, we have discussed it before already, that I personally, I think that we were talking about his album when his album came out, and I said that I don't care for his album because he seems like a religious freak to me. And like, I still stand by that, because that's the thing with people like this, right? It's not that they are religious per se, but it's more about the fact that this is just like one of the things that they believe in, and what they believe in is fucked up. And also, the thing is, I don't give a fuck if you're religious or not. I am not religious. I don't give a fuck to have this fights with people and being like, atheist. I'm more of like an agnostic. I don't give a flying fuck, to be honest. I think that honestly, religion is a hindrance to society, because we are quite literally this is used as a weapon against the proletariat. I understand that there are people who are socialist or communist and they're religious and whatever, and it's your choice. I don't give a fuck. I didn't look into it enough to be lecturing people on it. However, I personally am not. I believe that it's usually used exactly as an opium for the masses or as an excuse to tolerate anything and everything while in this life, in order to get something in the next one. If you want to have have a clear idea of what religion does to people, you can just read Brothers Karamazov and see how it was used against regular people who were literally suffering, didn't even have limbs anymore. Like, that was a really bad time. The end of 19th century in Russia was really, really bad. And people wouldn't have, they wouldn't even have limbs, but they would give their last money to a priest so he would pray for their sick child. And that's just how, there's nothing about religion that I find to be salvageable, but it is something that might be helping somebody, whatever. I think that honestly, everyone who was talking about religion or whatever with me when I was sick also was kind of, there's a lot of acceptance of shit and taking of suffering and not fighting against anything. That's part of it. So I don't particularly like religion. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be forcing somebody to not be religious or telling somebody that you can't be religious. I don't give a fuck. I'm talking about my life, right? About my personal feelings on it. So to me, whenever someone is religious, I'm already automatically at least a little bit suspicious. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna be immediately really rude or mean to them or something like that, but I will be cautious until proven otherwise. You know what I mean? I would be, if you're telling me you're religious, I'm gonna be like, okay, are you a misogynist? And if during conversation it comes out that you're not a misogynist, then we're fine, for example, right? I will be cautious that maybe you're racist, especially if you are in evangelical type shit, right? The new age of Christianity. If you're an American Christian, I'm really side-eyeing you. If you're a Korean Christian, I'm side-eyeing you. Because it is not just separate from politics and stuff like that. It's always included in some kind of ideology. And I'm going to be very careful with you until I can see through your actions and your words that you have nothing to do with this type of backwards thinking, this type of prejudice and other things like that. I'm not telling you guys that you have to be like this, but it is what it is. So, here's the apology. Hello, this is Upper Room. Upper Room is his new label that he created. Okay, he's the CEO. We would like to extend our sincere apologies for the concern, discomfort, and disappointment caused by the vintage t-shirt that appeared in a recently shared photograph. The garment was selected solely as a vintage wardrobe item. However, upon recognizing the historical significance and sensitivity associated with the symbol displayed on the t-shirt, we took measures to ensure that it would not be visible in any official content. Despite these efforts, the image was subsequently shared externally, resulting in the symbol being visible and causing understandable concern among members of the public. Regardless of the intent, we recognize that this matter should have been handled with greater diligence and care. We take full responsibility for this oversight. Upper Room and the artists unequivocally reject and do not tolerate racism, hate, discrimination, or any form of intolerance. We understand the seriousness of the concerns that have been raised and deeply regret the distress that incident has caused. We're also grateful to those who brought this matter to our attention. We value the feedback we have received, and we're carefully listening to the concerns expressed by our community. In response, we will strengthen our internal review procedures for wardrobe selection and content approval to help prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. We sincerely apologize to everyone who was hurt, offended, or disappointed by the situation. We remain committed to acting with greater responsibility, awareness, and care moving forward. So, listen, his brand, his what is it called? Upper room, like the not the brand, the his label. First and foremost, that's his label. Why are they're doing the same thing as they were doing in SM, but in SM it's an actual big company, right? Um, and I think that it's kind of like um listen, what I dislike about this whole thing is, like, first and foremost, their emphasis on the part that it's vintage, okay? Clearly it isn't vintage. Clearly, even if it would have been vintage, explain to me how the fuck did you get it in Korea? Explain it to me. How could you possibly get it in Korea if it's vintage, right? Which it isn't. We can see that it's fresh off the press. But even if it would have been, how did you even get your hands on it? Mm? Um, why is it backwards? Do you raise it backwards? Shit. Wait. That's so funny. I was reading it and it was completely backwards the entire time. Okay. Sure, sure. Why not? Why not? Um, hi, Omar. Um, as a POC by no denominational Christian and socialist, I'm also skeptical of religious people. Yeah. Someone on Twitter said it sounds like a rejected Lil Huddy song, and it really does. Also, boy doesn't have the star power to go solo, but that's just me being cranky. Yes, but that's the thing. That's what we talked about when he released the first fruit. I said that I think he's a freak because it smells like the celebrity worship, the injection of Mormonism and evangelical shit into American pop stars. Like the whole thing with um, people like Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, um, Hailey Bieber, or Baldwin before, right? A bunch of other, like, so many different celebrities who are either Zionists or they're a combination of Zionist and Christian, like the evangelical, or they're Mormon. Like, all of that shit is not a coincidence. It's just not a coincidence that there's so many religious people in that shit, and it's because they prioritize their new technique at the very least, in my opinion, their new technique of recruiting people, knowing that Americans are so prone to specifically enjoy surface level badass imagery, and someone like fell outside or something. It was really weird. So there's a lot of shit in this, right? That is used to recruit new people, recruit younger people. That's why there's so many Mormons who don't say that they're Mormons, or Mormons who try to say that they're not that much of a Mormon, like Nara Smith. Why they're so heavily pushed? They're pushed because there's a lot of people who are benefiting from this religion having such a huge pool in North America and outside of it, right? This whole mega church shit is very much the same type of shit, okay? So I guess that Mark thought that he could bring this right wing wave of Asian men, Korean men specifically, or any of them here who are like from China or Vietnam or fuck, I don't know, any other country that had a socialist versus like capitalist conflict, or had a revolution happen. The kids that ran with their parents who were slave owners before the revolution, so they have like all of those really nasty shit passed down through them, where they genuinely believe like really fucked up shit but think that it's totally normal. I guess they thought that they could get those kids into this. Vintage t-shirt, are they trying to sell it? What the hell? I mean, yeah. It's just extremely strange because flags have always stood for something. Also, why choose this piece? It looks like a shirt you could get from Walmart. Exactly. Um, them mentioning vintage like they're trying to sell it. Lisa, you're so talented in many languages, including speaking in backgroundish. Literally, backwards speak. Negligence is a crime too, especially if it's a pattern. There's even a law about criminal negligence in many countries. Yeah. Vintage, it is as if they showed the Japan's Imperial World War II flag in Korea. Exactly. Exactly. But that's I'm actually glad that a lot of Koreans kind of clocked that on Twitter and talked about it on Twitter. They were like, dude, this is literally as if he would have shown up wearing a Rising Sun t-shirt right after Liberation Day. Hi Lisa, hi Corky, hi Ellie. um he's stupid, he's self-absorbed, but I also think he's a right winger. There's no way around it. So let me give you some more like background information here, right? So first and foremost, to those of you who don't know, Mark actually was born in Canada, lived in Canada for a while. He lived in America too, in New York City. I believe that he lived in Toronto and in Vancouver as well. Background information, his dad is a pastor, some kind of reverend shit, okay? Already gross. And they travel. Korean Christians, priest dad, traveling, constantly being in the West. That's not a good combo. That is not a good combo. Uh, what? Are we talking about Markiplier? No, no, no. We're talking about Mark Lee from NCT. Yeah, yeah. A pastor, yeah. So, um, another piece of information. He's filmed videos where he was kind of singing along with the song of his friend. Let me show you that song. Actually, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like. God, why did I like so many stupid ass tweets? Like I shouldn't have done that because it would be so much easier to find shit if I didn't do it. Shit. Um. Okay, here it is. I think latest this is his latest Instagram post from June 23rd. I guess like maybe it's not the most recent one, but he danced with his loser friends that have the same vibe as G Dragon, like loser who really, you know, got ahead when he shouldn't have. Um, so the lyrics in that song, it's like gaslighting, misogynistic lyrics, telling your girlfriend to always go full makeup, challenging with lyrics like, "Are you cheap like your Instagram friends too?" Lyrics like, "This is the song that they were dancing to together." Okay, this is a song they were dancing to together. Just so you guys remember this. Okay. Um, I want to hit you up. We actually there's like a, I think there was like a translation somewhere. Shit. Well, whatever. I just want to hit you up. We gotta have a fancy 5 course meal. I just want to show you to my friend. Can you blame me for what? There's like a lot of like lyrics that are in Korean right next to it that were really fucking horrible. Let me open that shit. Um, Where is the translation? Maybe here in the Okay, whatever. Stop doing fucking Instagram. Are you seeing it's fake something thing? I don't know what that is. That's even supposed to be. Is that because of your friend? Stop hanging with them. They're such a tramp. Are you such a tramp like them? I know that you ain't the same. That's not the way you have been raised. Do not disgrace your family name. Didn't mean you to feel the shame. All I said was for you, babe. It's, God, it's such God. This is so fucking gross and lame. I don't even know. Um, yeah. So that's a song of his friend that he was singing to on his story. Okay? He didn't repost the apology. Okay? He didn't repost the apology from his label that was posted from his label for what he's worn on his story, but he did post that. How about it? Mm-hmm. Disgrace his family name, yet he disgraced his entire country. Yeah. I never understood whenever anyone said he's 4th-gen ace, the guy has no charisma. How could he and the company believe in him and his Lil Huddy song to let him debut? Well, this is his company now. So he's the one deciding whether something comes out or not, whatever. Uh, so, um, I was waiting for the stream divas. My friends ended up hardcore fans of him who were trying to protect his actions when I wanted to rage. What the hell? Dude. That's the thing, okay? Listen. And people are surprised that Korean women are done with this, guys. Yeah. The thing is, like, when I was in university, 2 of my close friends were Korean girls from Korea, from South Korea. And we were constantly talking shit about Korean men. Like, I knew so much about the state of affairs. It's like really, really bad. And I mean, it's bad everywhere, but they are just so brazen about it, and it's ridiculous, genuinely. Anyway, oh, you had an interview for a teaching job? Oh, I hope it went well. Wow. I hope it went well. And I don't know who Heesung is. I'm telling you, since NCT, like even NCT 2020, I already did not give a fuck, okay? The only group I actually keep up with properly is Red Velvet. Everyone else, sometimes I keep up with them, sometimes I don't. I kept up with aespa until aespa started to get real weird. I'm getting the same vibe from aespa girls now as I do from Blackpink girls, and especially Lisa. I can't stand the sight of Lisa. I can't. Like just the worst product of capitalism. It's in Hypen from Hybe. Okay, yeah, I definitely don't know them. I mean, I know that they exist. I just don't know any of their names, and I've never listened to them. Do you guys remember the situation with Chaeyoung from Twice wearing a swastika on her shirt? It's interesting how different people treat men and women in very similar situations. Well, on my For You page, there's not a single person defending him, but I think it's just the bias of my page. I told you guys, you have to like tell me sometimes what's happening because my For You page is very biased, and the type of things that I get on my For You page It's usually people just being like, oh, fuck you, actually, for that. Have some friends in Korea, and it's one crazy trash story after another. Whenever we chat, it's insane. Yeah, genuinely. Sonny, oh wait, Espa gives me weird vibes too. This is totally aside, by Hearts to Hearts new song Lemon Tang sounds like it was on Red Velvet's workroom floor. Yeah, I mean like their outfits and everything. It's very Red Velvet, Summer Magic, and Cosmic photo shoot. But Blackpink just feels like a product at this point. I mean, I thought from the beginning, to me, they were always a product from the beginning, okay? They have always been so calculated and so devoid of any life. But I was entertained in the very beginning. Their first few songs, at the very least, they were polished in terms of like entertainment value, and they were good for, especially at the time when music videos have gotten like so lazy in the West. It was kind of a breath of fresh air in that sense, especially with the choreography and all that kind of stuff. However, I've always thought that they're just products. Like, from the very beginning, they were like, Jenny, walking Chanel. Rose, walking YSL. And it's like, do you hear yourself? You're so lame. Like, this is such loser behavior. Whatever, whatever. For example, I come from a predominantly religious country, Mexico, so I've seen the many different kinds of relationships people have with religion. I'm Catholic because I was baptized, but that doesn't stop me from criticizing it. Plenty of Mexicans do the same, even if it's just through memes. Then there's homophobia and the La Luz del Mundo group, which was literally a cult. It's heartbreaking. Well, that's the thing. It's kind of gotten pretty bad in Russia too. It used to be controlled in a good way in Soviet Union. Like couldn't have been you couldn't go around and be like a you know Jehovah's fucking Witness, you know what I mean? Like going from house to house telling people to join you or something like that. You couldn't have had extravagant churches and stuff like that. You couldn't have asked for donations for money from people. But you could get together and pray or whatever. You just didn't have this special treatment of like, you know, or the shit that like the popes would collect money before the revolution and stuff like that, right? So they cut all that shit out. But now after in evangelical type shit was injected back into Russia, is like, oh my god, Lisa, your Spanish is so good. What the heck, really? So when it was injected back into the country, it was around 2010. There was some kind of bullshit going on between some of the Russian oligarchs and the American oligarchs, and there was a lot of exchange of evangelical ideas. That's why the homophobia got worse in those years. And it's kind of there's also things like I went to a religious school, right, for what, from grades 2 to grade 8, I believe. But I was going there because they had a good humanities program, and I didn't mind that it was like a religious school because they weren't so insane about it. But they got so insane around year 6 or so, which is like what? How old was I? What year was it? Like it was around 2010 when it started to go downhill. Like the amount of cults that appeared after the fall of Soviet Union was insane. The 90s killed so many people. We call it the bloody 90s for a reason, right? So many people were killed, so many people were trafficked, so many people got lost in cults, in MLMs, other shit like that. And then those mofos from the West tell us that they like brought us freedom. Go fuck yourself, whatever. I don't know why there's never wait. At least with Chaeyoung, It's believable that she might have not known, at least it's not like the first thing she thought about. It's a common symbol in Buddhism, but Mark, Canadian too, be so fucking for real. The thing is, with Chaeyoung, I have a feeling that she might be some freak. But at the same time, her shirt, I believe, was like a Vivienne Westwood shirt, which Vivienne Westwood, I don't think that that shirt is justified anyway, in my opinion. But I have really strong feelings about Nazi shit, right? Understandably so. I would assume people would understand that because if people understand when Jewish people say, you know, that they don't like this shit uh, because of the Holocaust, because 6 million people got killed there, I sure hope that people understand why I wouldn't like that, because it was 27 million of Soviets that they killed in those 4 years. So, also, Evan, sorry if there's any Evans in the chat, but it's a stupid choice for a nickname for an artist. I don't know who you're. Oh, are you still talking about like song whatever? You know, praying to Jesus has gone so wrong when Catholic Pope starts floating Marxist ideas. Yeah, Vivienne Westwood is so non-punk, it drives me nuts. That's the thing. So, with Vivienne Westwood's shit, uh, I do. Oh my god, this is so fucking annoying. Just got an email from Google again. Whatever. Anyway, so, um, basically, Vivienne Westwood, her shirts or whatever, I think a lot of it reminds me of those American artists from, honestly, I feel like it was kind of spread around in 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. There was artists who were taking pictures. I think we talked about it in on Patreon when we were talking about Susan Sontag's critique of two books that touch on Nazi shit. And there's artists that she talked about in New York who were posing with like swastikas, for example, or whatever, and being like, oh, I'm so, you know, scary, or not scary, but like, look at this. This is so like shocking and whatever. And they would talk about it, like the artists themselves were talking about it, saying this is the last thing that'd be so shocking. And it's like, yeah, of course an American would do that. Like, of course to you that's a fucking joke. You were sitting all across the ocean somewhere else the entire time. Of course it's a fucking joke to you. That's why I'm like, I don't fuck with that type of shit. I don't like shock value bullshit. I don't like any of that. And actually, I'm going to remove this because I can't keep looking at this stupid ass flag. And the thing is, I understand not knowing about the Confederacy in terms of like what the actual flag looks like, because I didn't know about it until I moved here. I'm sure I would have learned about it by the time that I was like 18 to 20, even if I wouldn't have moved. But when I moved, I was 16, I think. So when I moved, I actually watched. You know, this is how I realized how fucked up the situation is here. I Yeah, well, Vivian lived in the UK, but the UK also, what, the casualties of the UK, considering that the UK were totally fine with this bullshit until it got really bad. What are the casualties of the UK? UK lost about the same as the United States. They're gonna make you feel like they didn't, because they complain about that shit all the time, right? They always talk about how much they did. And every time you look at what was going on the Eastern Front, the horrors that we know about, that we were taught about in school, and then you look at what was going on the Western Front, and you're shocked by how friendly and chummy they were with the Nazis. Ты солнышко? Конечно. United States lost 400,000. The UK lost 450,000. We lost 27 million. Do you understand how high that number is? I can't even conceptualize it. Anyway, yeah, it's a swimsuit. I'm gonna be in the swimsuit today all day because it's just too hot. My little baby Pika. Anyway, so I just want to show you to my friend only when you're wearing a like full face of makeup. I just want to hit you up only if I'm really bored. That's the lyrics from that song, by the way, you guys, that Mark was singing to. We're gonna have a fancy five-star meal or whatever only on your payday. So on your dime, I guess. Wow, what a gentleman. What a gentleman. Uh But yes, it was Sex Pistols, it was Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious also fucking lame. Um when I was driving around the town I grew up in, Alberta, within the last 10 years, I straight up saw two boys, like kids, 10 to 12 looking, walking past the elementary school, and um, one was wearing the Confederate flag as a cape. I was stunned. Dude, I see it all the time. I see it in Calgary all the time. I'm not even kidding. I keep running into it. Oh my god, sweeter, hi. I genuinely keep running into it, and every time I see it, I'm like, do you know you're in Canada? Like, just in terms of even that. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck does that have to do with this? Every time they do it, I'm like, the convoy, fuck. Like, all of them can suck my ass. Actually, no, too much of an honor. They can go die. That's, I guess, what I was gonna say. But it's impossible. There's no room for negotiations when it comes to fucking fashy shit. I do not care to be cute about it. And the thing is, yes, I did not know, for example, the Confederate flag when I was like 16. I learned about it when I was 17 because I was like seeing it. I realized with time when I was rewatching The Vampire Diaries, because I used to watch The Vampire Diaries when I was like 12. And then when I rewatched it when I was 17, I was like, wait, what is that on the table in the classroom? Is that a fucking Confederate flag? That's just in the show? They just put it in the show? And then I saw it more. Again. Hoppa. Иди, Плюшенька. So I saw it again and again in that show, and I was just like, that's allowed? You, like, the thing is, it's already so egregious, the whole situation, the civil rights movements and stuff like that, the way that it had to be fought so hard to, like, get any rights whatsoever, and still it's not equal, right? There's so much bullshit, like, for example, redistribution of wealth. You know, when we had a revolution, the wealth was redistributed. So as soon as the revolution happened, Lenin was like, okay, so all your debts, all the peasants, everyone, it's gone. You don't owe anyone anything anymore. There's no more debt. Let's start there, right? And then all of that was redistributed. People were getting homes, people were getting free education, free healthcare, all that kind of shit, right? What happened in America when they ended slavery is that there was still slavery going on in some states. Then there was the Civil War shit going on. Then after the Civil War and after all of that, and a lot of Black Americans moving up north because it was supposed to be better there, whatever. There's still racism there. There was still bullshit going on there. And no one, you know what? After centuries, after literally like 300 years of having people do their bidding, do their job, those white Americans back in the day were getting from all of these slaves just like free labor, free everything. Basically, they had a bunch of people who would put their lives into creating surplus value that went into their pockets, and then when the civil war happened, and they say that finally we became decent people because we don't have, we don't enslave anybody, right? Which again, bullshit, but that's a different topic. Not a different topic, but maybe down the line we'll discuss it. After that, they didn't redistribute the wealth that those enslaved people created. I just need you to understand this as Eastern Europeans. If there's Eastern Europeans here and Europeans, we don't understand these things because especially Eastern Europeans, because we cannot imagine how ridiculous their civil war time period was, and how after that they didn't actually get anything out of it financially. Their slave owners kept all the shit. They kept all the money that was made by the enslaved people. Can you imagine the audacity? The fucking audacity. The audacity. I'm just shocked to this day, and I will keep on saying that. Those people, like anyone who's a slave owner, anyone who has this type of mentality, anyone who has immense wealth that came from that, should be shot. Where are the reparations? The reparations is not enough. Reparations implies that there's going to be some kind of payment, like payout. The amount of wealth that they have pocketed is so insane and so immense. It's only through revolution that it could be amended. There's no way around it. Angela Davis is right. Okay, divas? Malcolm X is right. Okay, divas? I was just sitting in class when they were like talking about Malcolm X, in I think it was like one time in Canada. They were like, they brought him up and they were like talking about him as if he was a terrorist. And I was like, he sounds like he's right, actually. And everyone was so pissed at me, and I'm like, okay, okay, jump the foreign Russian girl, okay. I guess I'm just like not, I'm just like one of the savages, as they fucking say. Whenever you want actual equality, that's what people call you. Like, oh, you just like don't get it. You're either too naive or too idealistic, or you're a savage or whatever. They will say anything. They will say anything, but take responsibility. Oh, thank you, Lizzie. Side question: is there any good book or literature for the history of Soviet Union? All the books I find are obviously biased against communism, with the summaries calling it tyrannical. Yeah, I know this is something that's really, really difficult. I have talked about it in my podcast. Because it's basically impossible to find any information that's not biased against communism, because everything is funded, especially in English, it's funded by people who were slave owners. Like, what did you expect? Genuinely, what did we expect from people who when I put together the fact that when we had like the state was just not tolerating racism, it was just not allowed, you would literally get you get into issues. If actually, you know what, if especially if you're an American, read Black Bolshevik. I don't think that it's being produced anymore. It's not printed anymore. Me and my assistant, we're gonna do like a little workshop together, or like with you guys, maybe like on Patreon or something. But I think that maybe we should do a live where we wanted to reprint, like basically printed and bind a book, a physical copy of Black Bolshevik. It's I actually have a copy of it. Let me see what year it is. This is kind of like to have more information on both the history of it's autobiography of an Afro-American communist, Harry Haywood. He talks about his parents and grandparents, the way that they escaped, the way that like there was like a lot of conversation about like how this period of like enslavement ending and no civil rights and Jim Crow and all of that, like he kind of talks about that. Then he also talks about going to Soviet Union and his experience there. I think if you are, especially if you are Eastern European and you don't know what kind of relationships we had with people like Black Panthers, or the relationships that we had with African countries and their leaders, like Patrice Lumumba. If you don't know this shit, this book will give you like at least the American side a little bit. Like it will give you a little bit of context for that. When it comes to Soviet Union history, I think honestly it will be a little bit difficult for me to like give you one book. Maybe check out Madeline Pendleton's TikTok. She has a link to like a master doc where she has a lot of good peer reviewed resources. I don't know if she has anything that's like covers the whole history of Soviet Union. I'm not sure, but I do think that take everything with a grain of salt until you have enough context of historical and theory information to be able to kind of understand it better when you know look into it. This one time, right after the election, there was like a bunch of cars outside my workplace parading around with MAGA flags and Confederate flags, and this was in California. How is that like? This is so. Whatever, just don't even start me. You know how I am. I'm already going off because I'm so fucking pissed about this whole situation. Just interesting to see people became a lot more tolerant to Nazi BS in this few years. Oh yeah, well because they have always been tolerant of them. They don't mind them. Those motherfuckers came up with phrenology shit together. They were sitting there coming up with who's going to be counted as a human and who isn't, and how we can legitimize it through science for years. Why like there's quite a few people here in the West that I stopped talking to because they started to say stupid shit like, oh, like Russians have dirty blood because they're mixed with Asians. I was like, actually, I literally am a Russian that's mixed with Asians. And also, even if I wouldn't be, fuck you, actually. And that was like my acquaintances saying that out of like from my university. It's like seeing Russian imperial flag in the wild, I imagine. Yeah. Or like one of those, what are they called? Like, like the язычество, like the guys who are like really into the iconography of the runes and whatever. Like all of that shit came from the same like white supremacist bullshit. And it's very fake. It was like all of their history, if you go and like, I talked about it in the occult origins of fascism video. I talked about the variation of Slavic white supremacists that I also think are a bunch of like fucking freaks. You know what I think should be done with them. Do I have to say it? The amount of Confederate vampires, exactly, and they put it in as if it's like, oh, he was a soldier, it's so honorable. You can go fuck yourself. It's just like, what is happening? Like, what is with these people? I also watched Vampire Diaries when I was younger. I didn't know what the flag or the Confederacy march meant, but low-key found it suspicious, especially seeing Bonnie, a black woman, not flinching. See, that's the thing. Remember when they did like reenactments, because it was like the founding fathers of the city of Mystic Falls, and they did like this parade, and Jeremy, who had a thing with Bonnie at that point, and I don't know if they were already a couple or not, I don't remember. It was like early in the season, so I'm not sure, but they had a thing for each other already, and he dressed up as a Confederate soldier because they were reenacting it on like one of the platforms, and she just standing there in the crowd going, oh, okay. It's as if like it's similar to if I were like someone I had a thing with would have been on a platform dressed as a fucking SS soldier or a Japanese Imperial Force soldier. That'd be so crazy. And I'm just like, oh, my man. Ew. What the hell? Genuinely, what the hell? I knew about the Confederate flag because I watched Black American media growing up, also because my country also had a flag that represented racism. Yeah, see, I, like that shit was kind of kept, it was kept out of the, like, it was kind of, Soviets were really strict on this type of shit. You can read about it in Black Bolshevik, how strict they were on racist bullshit. So like a lot of this is just like not on my family's radar and whatever. So I had to learn about it when I moved here, and I realized, I was like, oh, so you just decided that it's just like okay to rub shoulders with these bitches day in and day out. Okay, you decided that it's just a part of society, huh? Okay. This is when like whatever. Um like Europe making countries that have freed themselves pay. Oh my god, when I found out about that, I'm still like every time I remember, I'm fuming. The bastardry, the audacity. Can you imagine the audacity to be like, you guys owe us money now because we are letting you go willingly. So for us, it's such a loss of income. You're gonna have to pay it off, or we're gonna bomb you. Oh, oh, you guys are so nice. It's crazy. What the hell? Whatever. Um, yeah, they like to teach you about Martin Luther King Jr., but God forbid someone thinks like him exactly. But also, they like to teach him in a really sanitized way, just completely washing away the fact that he actually became a lot more radical at the end of his life because he realized that you have got to be radical with people who have no fucking conscience. The last colonial tax was in 2015 to France. Disgusting. Exactly. And those motherfuckers are dictating to every other country in the world what is honorable, what is moral, and what is good. Like, don't even start with me. Diva, it's hard to find unbiased book even in Russian. Well, yeah, because the thing is, oligarchs, they have been in power for how much? 30, how long? 30 years now, right? And in 30 years, they have produced a lot of books, a lot of textbooks, a lot of other shit that rewrites history. And also um this is why you will meet a lot of Slavic people who are like, we were so bad when we were socialists. We were such assholes. Now we're so like, yeah, now we're not great, but we're better. And it's like, no, we're not. We're actually a lot worse, bitch. We used to be good. Not perfect. Not perfect. That's not gonna happen. Perfect in general is not gonna happen, probably. But we definitely had some things that could have been fixed, should have been fixed. And we definitely became kind of a lot more wishy-washy and not as like set on our actual like beliefs and on Marxist theory and other things like that later on in the 80s, especially like the whole perestroika thing was a fucking mess because it made us friends with people like trying to build bridges with America, which should have never been done ever. Good on China for not trying to do that shit. How do you spell that book? Let me type it in here. I even went to like this leftist bookstores all over Vancouver. No one has Harry Haywood, especially Black Bolshevik, and I asked about it, and it was like they were like, "Oh, I don't even know if that exists." I was like, "Damn, did I miss the?" We're still talking about it because I went on a whole rant about how the like the Civil War and the changes after enslavement and stuff like that were not even close to anything fair. Like it wasn't, reparations are not enough. It has to be a full blown revolution for that to actually be anywhere close to fair. They did Cat Graham dirty in TVD. Exactly. So dirty. Um commie trans diva. Exactly. Whenever I meet someone trans and they're not a commie, I'm like, what happened? What's wrong with you? Diva, you are questioning the basic, like, binaries that have been, like, beaten into our brains from the get-go, and you didn't question this. I think it kind of goes hand in hand. You gotta, baby, you gotta. You gotta do both. Um, I found a Chinese lesbian vampire film. Damn. Uh, I argue racism was completely eradicated in Soviet Union, at least in the last 10 to 15 years of its existence. Only saying this because of what my family members went through. I'd argue racism was completely eradicated in Soviet Union, at least in the last 10 to 15 years of its existence. Only saying this because of what my family members went through. What did they go through? Because the thing is, I remember, like, there was, uh, what diva some Russians think like this now. They believe their blood suddenly became pure and they go around saying that Russia is only for Slavic Russians and they shouldn't mix. That, see, that's the thing. It's all ahistoric bullshit, okay? Not culturally Russian. All of those motherfuckers. When I saw, dude, I'm like really behind on like cultural things, like pop culture in Russia, right? So I saw this dude. My mom was like, "Look at this mess. Like it looks so horrible because like it just looks lame as its balls." And it was like this some kind of singer, some kind of whatever. He's like going for some kind of Viking bullshit or whatever, and he was like, "I'm Russian," like singing that, and I was like, "Ew, what in the fucking what is going on with you, bitch?" Like, what an SS Nazi ass shit is this? What an white supremacy bullshit is this? We didn't lose 27 million people for you bitches to be like this. Like, ew. And that's the thing, like, it's genuinely so ahistoric because the origins of like those people who read yes, shaman, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I saw it and I was like gagging. I was like, who the fuck is that? Who is this mofo? Being that, like the fact that he was in that music video with this really, really like platinum blonde girl with blue eyes, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm a Russian. Do I look like that to you, bitch? Huh? Whatever. I was like, you like that. There, it can't be like you can't be serious. This can't be serious. I moved quite far away, and I still see Russian bitch as tourists spray painting Z everywhere. Who let them out? Why are they there? I don't even know what Z is about, to be honest. What is that? I think the thing is, um, it's like all like nationalism, evangelic bullshit, the resurgence of orthodoxy, the fact that our government is so in cahoots with the church and love each other so much. All of this is Western bullshit that was uh, forced upon us in the 90s because they wanted to secure their position as oligarchs. You know? And the fact that my pagan Slavic bestie wasn't aware of how much of sources were created by white supremacists. Yeah, diva. I talked about it in that cult origins of fascism video that I bought a book because I thought it was going to be talking about goddesses, like specific god of death, Mariana, which is like she's kind of like um yeah, and I was like, and I basically stumbled upon this dude that just came up with bullshit and keeps telling people that it's like historical information and whatever, and it's very, very similar to that folkish bullshit that Germans were on. I learned about Confederacy from Twilight. Turns out Twilight is an educational book. No, seriously. Um, all the Mormons constantly talking about Confederacy. Doesn't matter that they were fighting on the wrong side. They are always talking about it as if it was like an honorable thing. It's like Americans and fucking loving soldier shit and war shit. Doesn't matter if you're going and like committing war crimes. It doesn't matter what kind of war it is. They just think that you're supposed to be like, you're supposed to love the military. And it's like, I just don't understand why, whatever. Actually, I understand why. I just don't like it. Um, the state of education is so bad, you learn more from Twilight book than from schools. Literally. Grew up in Texas and they taught me about MLK barely, but not Malcolm X. YouTube taught me about Malcolm X. Yeah, they avoid Malcolm X like the plague in schools. They try to constantly discredit him by calling him a terrorist. Um, it's such bullshit, for real. Oh yeah, don't buy that book. He's not getting the money anyway. Don't buy the book. Get it illegally, first and foremost. Second of all, it's for £300 because they stopped producing it. That's why I told you guys we can have a workshop binding that book, like printing it, binding a book together. I can teach you how to do that, but do not buy it from somebody for £300. Um, just been lurking. You gotta go. Okay, bye. Regarding the term vintage, I think it stems from the fact that secondhand shops in Korea likely source their goods the same way we Mexicans do for the items sold at tianguis. What? These products arrive from the United States in large bags. Oh, but it still doesn't look vintage. It looks like it's fresh from the press. But even if it would have been vintage, it's still like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Um, it's not really an excuse, is it? Um, I'm trans and I know a couple of trans people who are not commies, and the factor common on all of them is that they come from privilege. Yep. You mean ContraPoints? Anybody? That bitch? Sorry to say, I'm not a ContraPoints girl because I think that she's just like one of those people who are breeding defeatist attitudes, and it's because she lives a good life. Even before she was like raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars per month on Patreon, where she releases one video a year or whatever. Um, Even before that, she was already from a very rich family. So I just I can't with her. I can't. Um, Never in my life I'd imagined Lisa mentioning shaman. I don't know who brought, like, I think it was my mom telling me about this because she was watching some kind of skating competition, maybe. And then she mentioned him being like, look how tacky this shit is. And I was like, ew. Like, the aesthetic sucks. The song sucks. The performance sucks. Like, everything sucks. And it's like the entire time I was like, you guys know we actually have a culture. You guys know we actually have history. You know that we have like some of the best artists around. You do know that, right? No, you don't, because we have devalued humanities. Not us, actually. The oligarchs have devalued humanities so much because they want us to be ignorant and not know what we actually, like, how ahead of the curve we were before the 90s. They don't want us to know that shit. That said, I'm not actually sure if people really do throw the clothes in the trash. Also, the girl Shaman dates is Nepo Baby, who is officially in charge of censoring and limiting internet access of Russians. Of course he is. God, what a fucking classic. Don't you love seeing how we've become a reflection, like literally a mirror image of America? Don't you love that? Don't you love that? That's so normal and not at all an implanted bullshit. Like, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, that doesn't even, like, most of our culture has been erased and replaced by this white supremacist bullshit. This Christianity nonsense. This ahistorical bullshit. It's absolute nonsense, for real. Like, I just cannot. This probably was asked before I came, but can any Canadians give some insight to what extent things like slavery and Confederacy were discussed in school? Uh, well, I can speak on high school. In high school, it was not discussed at all. It was discussed as, first of all, something uniquely American, and it was discussed for maybe one class. Like, that was at least for me in Alberta. I did not know. Later on, I found out that we also had a lot of issues. And the last operating port where enslaved people were going through, where they like brought them into North America, was actually in Canada. And I did not know that. Z is a current war symbolism like za победу and other bullshit. Okay. See, that's the thing again. Who benefits from this war? Who benefits from this war? Because that's the thing that people oftentimes, again, this is kind of something that we're uniquely prone to as Slavic people. We're prone to this reactionary neoliberalism where we accept progress in social questions, like where we go to the West and we accept things like, like gay rights and whatever, but then we are becoming a tool of white supremacy in the West, and become basically enemies of the people who were our allies our entire time, like the entire time. By that I mean like people who are in the opposition to a one polarity world when it comes to influence, right? So we actually have to be a lot more clear on things that are that come to politics, because there's a difference. Like, I know I've met people who are like, yeah, like they're pro war or they're against war, but the fact of the matter is that both states, like both takes, usually don't have enough thought behind it, in my opinion. I think you have to be very like intentional as to why you're why you're criticizing something and whatever, because with some people, like with Masha girl, she's like criticizing the war, but she's criticizing it only because she thinks that she supports the idea of Ukraine being the new Israel, that like which is again a right-wing position as well, which is just like so fucking frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, that's still not good. That's not nowhere near progressive positions, nowhere near leftist positions. Do you know what I mean? I hope that what I shared helps a little. It was actually quite difficult translating from Spanish to English using Google. I lost track of the conversation a bit because I was busy translating. Okay, that makes sense. Ew, Floptra points. Yeah. It's the same with, what's her name, with Gigi Gorgeous. I used to watch her videos where she was like, just like yapping about something or whatever when I was little. And then I realized how like she's like this rich white girl who's like a right-winger. And I'm like, do you know you're trans? You know that they're not your friends, do you? Like, do you know that? Whatever. Americans not only have a military fetish, but are also fully militarized in every aspect of their social life, but are completely oblivious to it. Yeah. You can't even call ContraPoints a leftist at this point. She's just a liberal now. She's a right-winger, yeah. She's the left of the right wing, sure. Like, she's like center right, right? Yeah, I didn't learn about slavery either in Alberta too. Yeah, see? So, okay, so it wasn't just my school, right? In my high school, we did discuss it. Where is it, Vader? This is crazy. Our entire history classes are built around teaching about the atrocities of the Holocaust, and we analyzed the rise of fascism multiple times throughout school. We did learn about Holocaust. Nothing about slavery. Nothing about chattel slavery. Everything about Holocaust, though. Because, it doesn't count, apparently, if it's not done against people who are, like, light-skinned. Shaman himself is extremely stupid, but I want to believe that Shaman the artist is a satirical project created by opposition because artists who previously critiqued the government are now his art team. What? Seriously? Seriously? Also, you can't just make it up. Some of his outfits genuinely look like Nazi uniform, but with current war symbols. What? It's his team is made up of people who previously critiqued the government? Huh? What? And his girlfriend, but his girlfriend is the one that's like decides what is accessible and what isn't in terms of internet. How is any of that supposed to make any sense? That's so confusing. I I get pissed when people from the church say that they are non-political, as if churches weren't involved in anti-apartheid protests. Exactly. Exactly. How are you? How you can't be, but nothing is apolitical. Nothing is apolitical, unfortunately. I moved to Bolivia almost immediately as the war in Russia started, and the first 3 days I've been there, I found a huge ass D sign, za našich, two sticked on a car in La Paz, divas. Why are they doing all that? Um, I thought, I thought, Mel or Melita, I thought you were. Maybe I confused you with someone else. I thought you were in like a drone area somewhere in Southwest. Um, the US of A is a freaking military theocracy, exactly. I'm always shocked by the audacity people have when they tell me they served in Iraq after I tell them I'm from there. Are we supposed to bond over that? They act like killing a horrible person cancels out all of the horrible things they did to my country. Diva, the issues that were happening there were funded by them, orchestrated by them, so they could go in and do even more damage. The audacity is ridiculous. I genuinely whatever. Like I sometimes I'm like I just sit there like you can't be serious. You can't seriously be saying that. Like my high school was in the Middle East, Bahrain. It was part of our English class. Oh, history was my favorite class, but I don't actually remember anything. LOL. My last high school year, I got a really crappy teacher, and I was so burnt out. I actually never liked history, and it's kind of funny that now I'm like really well read on it, but I really didn't like it when I was in school. It's kind of conspiracy theory, but it's so stupid I don't even know what to think. No, it's genuinely crazy. Like, what do you mean his team? What? Hi. It's complicated. I lived in Bolivia for first 2 years. When war started, I am in Russia now. Oh, okay, got it, got it, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just God, it's just such a mess. I just hate everything. I basically my take on Mark is I've told you before um I've been suspicious of him uh because of his religious bullshit before, because of um just him being weirdly conservative already in like a lot of things, and then on top of this, I think it's also like oh, I'm glad it helps. Zad? Zad? um so on top of it all, I think it was malicious. I don't think it was stupidity or ignorance. I think it was malicious. Um and I do not like him. I told you before that I kind of solidified my opinion that I dislike him because of his music, because of First Fruit, because he basically portrayed himself as some kind of reverend in the music video. It smelled of megachurch pop star, like funded pop star type of deal. So that was my take on him, that I just didn't like him because of these things that gave me a lot of this like right wing bullshit type of thing. And Christian Korean man is never a good combination. And now he has proven himself to be a lot worse than I expected. I thought he was just like kind of conservative and definitely misogynist, but he proved to be even worse, to be racist as well, and also an idiot, because I guess he thinks that somehow being Asian is not going to be a problem when he's going to be trying to cozy up with white supremacists, because apparently he did not get the memo about where he is in the food chain for those people. Like, seriously, no. Like, literally, got Christian and Korean man pick a struggle, exactly. Ugh. Anyway, I think Yaruski MV or whatever the fuck, he wears Nazi-looking clothes with pro-war symbols. I believe it's on purpose, but I don't know if they're proud of it or it's irony. You know, I'm personally against ironic takes like that, or projects that are like, obviously I think it needs to be a lot more obvious if people do this. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that it's too dangerous to be planting those seeds of nationalism. And I personally, I'm just like, I have talked about the fact that I don't support nationalist bullshit and racism that's like comes from exceptionalism and other things like that. The US is so evil. I'm from Mexico, and it's known that the US gives weapons to gangs that sell drugs in order to destabilize the country. Exactly. And then they pretend like they did you some kind of favor later on. When they do something with the cartels or whatever, they're like, we helped you out. And it's like, bitch, you created this problem. Whatever. We also need to mention Meta glasses and Rihanna today. Yeah, so just in case you guys are forgetting because they were not like in the public eye for a while, Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner both are pieces of shit, okay? I need to get this back out there, okay? So they don't have as much influence, because people forget what the fuck they talked about, what the fuck they've done before. I never suspected anything over the religious music, but my take has been that he did it on purpose to purge his fandom. I don't think he did it to purge his fandom. I think he did it to get more fans who are right-wingers. Because I think that he is going for a Christian music type beat. Basically, he never gave me good vibes. Exactly. Um, uh, I still don't understand why so many East Asians are bootlickers of white supremacy. Like, dude, they don't like you. It's because they know that if you sell out your people, right? That's how it happened, for example, with a lot of Indian people. There's Indian people who have sold out their own people to the British, and have gotten themselves a really good deal by both getting a lot of like a big chunk of money that British were siphoning out of India, while at the same time also, getting to get a powerful position and great relationships with Britain or British people who were coming over and whatever. So they kind of got themselves, they basically were, it's usually like that in every country. There's always going to be someone who destabilizes their own country for the sake of a paycheck. It's very common, So every time you're going to be outside of, like, there's going to be more diversity of opinions in countries that, like if you are in a country that is not in the West, to compare to that same demographic in a diaspora somewhere in the West. If you talk to Russians in Russia, it would be a very different demographic and a very different amount of responses than to Russians outside of Russia, because there's going to be a lot more neoliberal bullshit of like right wingers that think that they're progressive outside of the country than in it. It's same with every country that has been turned into a big military base for America. So South Korea is a very big American military state. So they are pumped with propaganda to the brim, okay? That's why you get a lot of Koreans who are like this, especially, obviously, South Koreans who are like this. I hate nationalists so much. There's so many Turkish nationalists that I grew up with. Yeah, it's like the dumbest and evilest shit imaginable. Mark always gave me the ick. To be fair, a lot of the NCT members do, but we all know 10 is the real one. I don't know. 10 also, I think 10, based on the fact that where he's like, his parents, I believe he's like, he's some kind of Chinese by blood. I think maybe Taiwanese, if I'm not wrong. And he lived in Thailand. They had a lot of money for him to go to this expensive school there that cost like $20,000 or $30,000 a year. And with all of that background, considering that he's coming from one of the areas that historically were part of China but became separate because, like, Thailand, for example, was formed by a bunch of right-wingers that left China, and a bunch of like slave owners who were really disgruntled by the revolution. They left and they went to Macau, Thailand. Oh, sorry, Taiwan. I keep getting Thailand and Taiwan mixed up whenever I speak, but it's Taiwan. And then he lived in Thailand, but it's still very much like that's where his background is, considering that he's really like had like a really chummy relationship with Yang Yang, and Yang Yang's dad sells weapons to Israel and like works for with an Israeli company and has stocks in it that Yang Yang also owns. Yeah. Timothy's BS on ballet was enough for me. Well, Timothy, I have been done with him for a long time. But I think that you guys need to remember this, because let's talk about the meta glasses that are getting another push. They're trying to appeal to the female demographic that buys more accessories than men do. So they're kind of going for this whole bullshit, like trying to get women to be interested in their product. So what they did to do that is they hired Kylie Jenner, okay? So fucking bullshit, honestly. Like, fuck all of them. But it's AI glasses with cameras in them. This is nothing but basically creating a surveillance state. Considering that America just got a bunch of cameras, it's like something floor, something, fuck, what is it called? It's like, there's like a name, it starts with an F. This company that basically put cameras everywhere in America. Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It's like genuinely fucking disturbing. So this is her with the glasses. And I need you to remember, this is the bitch. This is a bitch that's been working day in and day out to make sure that none of us have rights and all of us are living in a surveillance state. By the way, data centers from now on, we should call them surveillance centers, because they're not used for AI queries as we are led to believe. Most of them are used to collect information, data from cameras, from all of this shit, and basically creating a network to surveil everybody. By the way, Shaman's girlfriend has a brother, and this brother is openly gay and lives in Europe. Guess which money he lives off of? Of course, his right wing families. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the thing with all of this stuff is that we are led to believe, especially this is what oligarchs from the West and East love to do. They love to create conflicts that seemingly are about things that are like, oh, the West is so like, dirty. They are like they have gay shit or whatever the fuck, right? And they're trying to portray the West as like bad because of that, and then the East bad because they are intolerant of that. When in reality, there are like intolerant and tolerant people everywhere. Obviously, there are trends. There are obviously things that are like culturally influenced. There's also hubs within countries where you could be like you're more free in some cities to do whatever, but they try to specifically focus on that because they're not actually principled people. They're not principled. They don't give a flying fuck. That's why Shaman's girlfriend has a brother and probably has a good relationship with her brother, even though she is a right winger, far right winger, and he is literally gay and living in Europe while she is dating a guy who sings about like Russian nationalism. You know what I mean? Like these people are a bunch of pieces of shit that believe in nothing, and they consistently try to create conflicts that are based on nonsense just for the sake of having everyone distracted. Everyone is like, everyone, whoever you talk about, whoever you talk to, this is very common. They kind of make it more intolerant in Russia by constantly focusing on homosexuality as like the crux of everything, and like as if the West always tries to comment on that specifically. It's specifically created to make it more intolerant in one place, to create this dichotomy, right? And to basically distract everybody from the fact that all of these people, even those that are pretending to be progressive, are actually right wingers and live off of money that they create through right wing grifting. Oh yeah, Mark and Johnny when they were together, it was cute, but it was like it was a long time ago. I think Mark changed. I think that he was just like not an exception to the past 6 years of men becoming right wingers. Like this has happened drastically and suddenly. Anyway, apparently homophobic laws don't apply to you if your family members are licking current ruling party's ass. Exactly. It doesn't apply. No, it's only applicable to people who actually want real leftism. Then they will come up with anything. Then they will use any laws. Whether they do apply to you or not, doesn't matter. They will make it apply to you. By the way, did you guys hear about those people in America that protested ICE facilities, the concentration camps? And one of them got 30 years in prison because he moved a box with zines, with just zines, from inside the house to outside of the house. He got 30 years. His wife got 50, I believe. And basically all of them, like there's like 3 to 5 people who were it was just a regular protest. Just a regular protest. They got, I think that maybe a cop was injured. Maybe like someone shot or whatever the fuck. But it's like, well, policemen shoot people and injure people and kill people actually every single day in droves in America. So I don't give a flying fuck. So there's one less cop. Now what? Anyway, so a lot of them got 100 years in jail. One of my friends messaged me and she was like, listen, one of my Russian friends told me that it's longer than you guys get for protesting. And I was like, yeah, this is a lot longer than we get. Yeah, like a lot longer. Mark did give me a good vibe, so I'm sad. Oh. The thing is, I thought he gave good vibe a while ago. You know, like when they were maybe 2018. I didn't get the bad feeling from him, but I started to get a bad feeling from him around 2022. Um, 10 is just gayish. That doesn't mean he's read up on leftist principles. Yeah, he's just gay. You like him because he's just gay, but he's still he's still a product of imperialism, and you know, I know we all are sure Taeyong would never. I actually do think that Taeyong would never, for some reason, but I don't know. You know, obviously, I'm not gonna be like 100%. But if out of all of them, I think that I trust Taeyong the most to be a decent person, mostly because even with the scandals that people were trying to like, push here and there, he was kind of he was the only one who was quite like openly disapproving of things. He would like unfollow. He was the one that unfollowed Taeyol immediately. He was the one who was like, quite like he would say to people, "Don't buy this shit because this is definitely the company just grifting." I think you get it anyway. So this is like, I'm not saying that it's 100% because he's still Korean. He's still a man, like Korean man. Obviously, I've had plenty of Korean women friends who I like. Um, uh, in high school, we had one class about World War II, and that was it. My classmates and I looked at each other and we were like surprised that was it. But where did you go to high school? Hiring Kylie Jenner is crazy. Well, it makes sense because that's who that's who they are trying to appeal to people who are still fucking with Kylie. Exactly, empty. Who the fuck likes Kylie now? Exactly. Who the fuck likes Kylie now? But that's the thing. A lot of people are fed up with this shit, and I hope it's gonna do something. I think that honestly there's a lot of shit that was gonna talk about, like for example climate change is so bad. I genuinely think that the measures that need to be taken are need to be very drastic, and I don't want to be talking about it publicly too much because it is kind of, it's not like I'm in charge of anything, but I'm just saying that there's no way out of this with voting or with peaceful protests or even with regular protests. By regular, I mean like even if they're quite disruptive and even violent or whatever. No, there needs to be organization. It needs to be done now because they have gotten. We are so close to the world being so uninhabitable that all the rich fucks who are trillionaires are going to be living in bunkers while we're literally frying in the sun. Everyone in India right now is literally there's like 3,000 people dying a day in India. Do you understand? From the heat. And that's a country that was built, infrastructure was built around hot temperatures. Do you understand what's happening? And I, you know what? Actually, I was talking about this with my mom, and like, I saw this friend that day when I was like curling my hair. I saw this friend, this acquaintance that we kind of like were hanging out with more, and I was like, damn, like you're really putting your head in the sand. You know what I mean? And I can't do it because to me it's more depressing. To me, it's more depressing to pretend like it's not happening because actually, I think that if we are drastic enough, we could change things. If we actually, you know, commit, we could change things. The problem is not people. We are not the cancer of this world. The problem is capitalism. The problem is trillionaires. The problem is billionaires. The problem is the capitalist class. And they need to be gotten rid of. You know? People are always like, tax the rich. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're way past that, baby. I am not living in a world where everyone is dying from heat exhaustion just because a couple of fuckers want to have $1 trillion. I don't even know, like with considering the fact that I already had cancer or whatever. I don't know how long I'm gonna have on this earth, and I'm definitely not gonna live like a little bitch. I think it's just like antithetical to human existence to live like this. I think we have gotten so far. Google Glasses, lol. I remember before AI bullshit, it was useless to have, and now it's also useless to have plus AI. Exactly. It's like such a waste of resources. We do everything to just create waste so some motherfuckers can get more money. And for what? For what? We could be living better. We could be taking care of everyone. We could have our families not struggle. But we're supposed to take this shit. We're supposed to watch our loved ones wither away because of these motherfuckers? No. Is that like the cameras they set up to use for eyes detection? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They've made it so Ring doorbells can access without... yeah. Mm-hmm. I have seen a meme that Timothy was eaten by Army Hammer in 2017 and now we have a chopped straight right-winger clone of him. R.I.P. Timothy, before his detwinkification, you were an icon. You're so real for that. Actually, whoever came up with that, I think they didn't come up with that. I think they just uncovered the truth. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Diva just stepped in with the heli. Sorry, Lucy. How about I play a little bit of sexy back. Shaman was also seen being gay with people in the government. Listen, they said you could be gay. It's just you have to be high up and sell out enough people in the general public. Then you could be gay without pay. These glasses have had a bad rep because first people to adopt this were guys doing harassment content. Well, they have a bad rep because they're creepy even without the harassment. That's just creepy ass shit. Why would anyone, like, why would there be cameras just in your glasses? I'm just saying. Yeah, they're trying to do the pink washing. They're trying to do like the girl power bullshit. Did you see Army Hammer has a new movie? Yeah, it's like some kind of like right-wing bullshit. No, cause why was my doctor's first reaction when I told him I'm a trans woman that I shouldn't say that in Russia? He's no longer my doctor. What does Russia have to do with it? Did he? Wait, where were you? That's so weird. Why? Like, that's the thing. Whenever they bring it up, they always bring up Russia. It's always like, why would Russia be there? Like, we're having a conversation about something else and they just like bring it up. I'm like, well, at least with me it makes sense because at least like I'm Russian, I guess. Like, at least it makes sense that you would bring it up to me. But they bring it up just like whenever I watch shows, whenever I watch like anything, videos of people talking, they always bring us up, and it's like, leave us out of this. Like, why are you bringing us into this? They love to say this shit, especially when they're like, what are we, like, totalitarian like Russians? And it's like, you're actually kind of worse right now because you're giving even worse sentences to people who didn't do anything. I'm telling you this because Diva, you're in a bad situation. I don't know how many times someone has to tell you this for you to do something about it. It's the funniest thing because it's always, Americans were always like, well, why didn't you protest? Well, why didn't you just vote? Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it ever? Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should both do it. How about we all do it? How about we do it internationally, Diva? How about we make sure that there's no imperial core that's going to attack any new socialist state? How about we dismantle it? How does that sound? Eh? Come on. It's a pretty good plan. So what I believe is that he's gay and extremely dumb or money hungry, and his Nazi Aryan girlfriend is oblivious. Or she's not oblivious. Oh, I don't know, Diva. The pink washing of Western countries is insane. They're just as homophobic. It's giving those white queers that were Zionists who tried to say that Palestine is homophobic. Yeah, like that's the thing. Okay, so it depends on the city, right? So for example, it's not the same being in Irkutsk, which is like a Siberian city, right, where I'm from, or being in Moscow. It's not the same. You know, like in Moscow, there's going to be a lot less homophobia than in Irkutsk. It doesn't mean that it would be very liberal. I wouldn't be able to tell you now because now I'm pretty sure we slipped back in terms of like more right wing. You know what I mean? But it's still not the same. It's the same thing as like it's not the same to be gay in Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal to compare to Calgary. Because I remember in high school, I never got as many dirty looks as I did in Calgary walking around, like, holding hands with a girl. And we were just friends, but they didn't know it. They were just, like, assuming shit, I guess. But, like, I would do that back home and no one would bat an eye because, like, well, people were assuming that we were just friends. But I guess that, like, here in Calgary, they were really giving us dirty ass looks. I was shocked because I was 17 and I was kind of like under the impression that, you know, people here are more liberal. So I was like, holy fuck, like, why is everyone so aggressive about us just holding hands? And I guess that maybe it was just like, we just got unlucky, you know, maybe that's what it is. And like, that's why they were looking at us like that. I don't know. It's good that we all noticed how much they started advertising meta glasses on the internet. I've seen a blind girl using it and someone using it to shop vintage in Italy. To shop vintage in Italy? What? Surprised there were no Mark Karina rumors that fit perfectly. I know, right? Oh, yes, I've heard of that. It's getting worse in the US. It's concerning. I hope more US people wake the fuck up. The worst part is, you guys, the guy who the judge that gave out those sentences, you know what he said? I'm gonna show you. He said that verbatim, by the way, just so you know. Like, this is official statement from him. Let me show you instead of Kylie. Basically, just remember that Kylie is an asshole. They all are enemies of the people, and they can go fuck off. So this is a statement. A judge from the Texas trial openly admitted that the sentences are about deterrence, not established justice. This was a show trial designed to send a message to deter people from attending protests because they might face decades in prison time for it. U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, remember that fucking name, so if you run into that bitch, punch him. One of two judges overseeing the proceedings said what happened wasn't a protest but an assault on democracy. Oh. Wait. One of two judges overseeing the proceedings said what happened wasn't a protest but an assault on democracy. The need to deter this type of conduct is high. The 7 other protesters, I don't know, received prison terms ranging from 30 to 70 years. Yeah. I mean, they will kill you in Russian jail. The sentence is shorter, but you will also never leave the jail. Why would they kill you? A guy was put in jail for years because he threw a paper cup. Yeah. Dude, that's the thing. That's the thing. Whenever we talk about this, we need to stop trying to make it sound like Americans don't have this problem right now because it is detrimental for them. The fact that we come in and we're like, well, the guy in our country got jailed for like however, like 10, what did you say? For years, let's say 10 years, whatever, for throwing a cup. Well, this guy got sentenced for 30 for moving a box of zines from one place to another. Is it bad that what happened in Russia? Obviously. Well, yeah, no shit. But the fact is, they are acting like this isn't happening, because Russians always, whenever they tell this to Russians, they keep telling them, well, yeah, we had this happen with this, and this was like it was so horrible and so much longer sentence or whatever. You have it easy. Do you understand that they're in a bad situation? They should be revolting. They shouldn't be letting it go anywhere further than that. They're in a really bad spot. They have actual concentration camps. ICE camps are concentration camps. They have them operating everywhere. We can't just like we can't lie and or mislead Americans when they talk to us by telling them that it's worse where we're from or whatever, because the fact of the matter, we're kind of in the same boat now. Fascism, like we're kind of in the same boat. We kind of have to actually tell them, you guys, you're in a bad situation. We can't keep lying to them that they're not in a bad situation. Every so often, many burner accounts on Korean side of Twitter been talking about how Mark behaves like a Korean man, how his misogynistic conservative beliefs slips up. Yeah, like Hannam or whatever they call it, or something like that. They kill and harm people with the fake bullets in my country. Fake bullets, like the rubber ones. Yeah, which is crazy, because the thing is, rubber bullets, diva, they are shot at such a speed, it doesn't matter that they're rubber. Uh, As a Korean girl, Mark always acted more like a Korean man than any Korean members. He literally makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, I can see why you would be uncomfortable about that. Um the fact that they are building those data centers are built in majority black populated areas. History is repeating itself. Exactly. They are both trying to surveil the area, and they also don't care they're going to ruin your water. They don't care they're going to pollute the air, not the air, the sound pollution, right? That they were going to cause a lot of sound pollution. Is Taehyung the one that said hello Africa when Is Not Real wanted to interview him? He's Taeyong, it's a different Taehyung or whatever is from BTS. Taeyong is from NCT. And I think he said hello Africa when Is Not Real wanted to interview him. Yes, I think he said that. Yeah. He was into weird anime, and that was like the worst part, I guess. I don't know if he was actually into it because he never actually recommended it or anything like that, and there was just like some kind of manga on the floor in his room or whatever, which I honestly, again, that's why I'm telling you, NCT or like just men in general, I'm never going to be like he would never, but he is the least likely to do something like that out of them, I guess. Um Hungarian high school. Hungarian high school, only one class on World War II. That's crazy. Agree the change that is required so the planet and living beings survives is not going to be a peaceful change. No, I'm unfortunately no. And I'm not saying this to be like edgy. I'm actually really sad about it. I actually have to mourn it every single day. The life that I could have had if things wouldn't be so drastic, if things wouldn't be this bad, if I wouldn't have to quite literally experience in 10 years the impact of climate change and actually see, wow, wow, it's actually going to get real bad. It actually can get really different within 10 years. And I will always mourn the life that I had before cancer, because it coincided with the last time when things like, yeah, like it was like during the pandemic early stages, when we still had this feeling of it gonna, like, that it's gonna wrap up and that we're not gonna have um like it's not going to be a massive disabling event. The problem that I'm seeing right now is that after 6 years, so many of us are becoming like either getting autoimmune diseases or whatever, or long COVID, stuff like that. We're just not going to be like we're going to have to act quick, because we're not going to be strong physically for a long time. This generation is not going to last a long time. That's why can't be postponing it for too long. Lisa finding ways to say we should K-word their billionaires without saying K-word. Exactly. 3,000 people dying a day in India from heat is crazy. Exactly. like we can still fix the planet. It's just the positive effects wouldn't happen in our lifetime, so most people find it hard to care. Yeah, but also, you know what? We could still see positive effects in our lifetime if we do it in a sweeping motion instead of doing these things of like trying to negotiate with Nazis and fascists, instead of trying to negotiate with misogynists and racists, instead of trying to negotiate with people who believe in capitalism. If instead of all of those things we quite literally do what needs to be done, we would be able to have money and resources to do it in one sweeping motion. By what I mean by do it is have things implemented that would basically install temperature regulating things where they are needed, right? Because the thing is, we might not gonna be able to fix the climate immediately. It will take, or even fix it at all. I don't know. But we would have the resources to actually make this climate livable and not get worse. Do you know what I mean? We would have the resources to actually stop this from happening, like stop deaths from happening, because we do have the resources. It's just they're concentrated in the hands of assholes. Um, People are bored out of their minds because all they know is their phones and Instagram and posting in brands and TikTok. And I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm really tired of this thing. And also, I'm really scared that scared because it's like it was such a convenient tool in terms of education and stuff like that. But I'm afraid that the fact that the internet is becoming so unusable, mostly because it is being taken over by bots. It's like 54% of bots nowadays. Like all traffic online, it's 54%. It's bots. I think this is very. And it's been already. I think. I think it's already happened already that the human produced content has been outnumbered by AI produced content, and it's been what, only a few years of AI, maybe 3 years of AI being implemented widely like this. It has ruined so many things so quickly. It's insane. And I'm so tired of talking to people who pretend like it's not happening and that it's not actually having a big influence on anything. Like it's just infuriating. Like I know it sucks. I know it sucks to such a degree that it is impossible to not despair if you accept it, right? But for the love of God, like I just can't. It's more depressing to me to act like there's nothing that could be done than to say that it needs to be done and it's not going to be pretty. Wait, guys. Uh, Bathroom break. Okay. Chinese Timothy is the only Timothy I trust. Shaman lore is crazy. Oh my god, I'm so behind the chat. The only good thing that came out from Trump's stupid war was people realizing that they need to invest more in green energy and stop relying on oil. Like, no shit, we should have been doing this 2 decades ago. Because you've been, what, creating a bunch of wars, you know? That should have been enough already to invest more in fucking green energy. Where was that doctor in 1992? Exactly. Where was that doctor? I was going to Belgian doctor. It was so random. It had nothing to do with the consultation. I'm Romanian, dude. What the fuck? That's so weird. And especially saying that as if like again, pointing at a different country is not gonna lower the amount of femicide going on, especially against trans women. Like, it's not going to fix this issue. You have an issue. Stop pointing fingers at other places. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to. This is why I focus on what's going on in Canada, for example, because I'm currently in Canada. If I would have been currently in Russia, I would be more focused on what's going on in the government there. But because I'm here, this is my responsibility to be dealing with shit here. And also, I am actually under fire if someone gets pissed at me here. Do you know what I mean? Corky has so many companions today. I know. Corky and Ellie are together hanging out. Everyone else who shows up on the screen, they can suck it. I mean, as bad as it sounds, you shouldn't bring it up in Russia for your safety. My gay friend told he had a panic attack in metro because his boyfriend fell asleep and leaned against him or something. It's bad because they could straight up beat both of them. So yeah, but that's the thing. Unfortunately, that's not, like, you're not as safe here either. And it depends on where you are, right? So I would say that in Vancouver it's pretty safe. Maybe there's like, like, don't go to nearby small towns, may chance, be careful with that. But Vancouver itself, I would say, is pretty safe. But that's the thing, like, oh my god, I'm so behind. Fuck. Americans destroying any leftist chances in the global south and then being surprised that these countries are run by fascists. They put them there. They choose who's gonna be in charge. And then they're like, my god, how are you guys, like, why are your laws so against women? Yeah, that's why you overturned Roe v. Wade, because you're so for women. Like, I was afraid to even dress up in later years in Russia. I censored even the tiniest details because they'd arrest people for stupid stuff like yellow, blue colors in their outfits. Same about showing a little gayness. Diva. Again, do we have that happening? Yes. But I've also had friends arrested for wearing a keffiyeh. Is that how it's pronounced? Am I pronouncing it right? Because I might be... which is, again, it's just bad everywhere, you guys. And it's not to say that there's no escape, whatever. It's just to say that we need to kind of make chance realize that we need sweeping changes everywhere. You know what I mean? I don't think it will do if we just because the thing is, when I think about, like, where it would be safe, I don't think there's a single place where I can definitely guarantee that you'd be safe at this point, because they keep on trying to take away rights in every single place. At least if you're a woman, or a person of color, or LGBTQ plus, whatever. It's just not stable. Like, it's become so unstable in the past 6 years. I can't be like, you know what? Actually, you're not gonna get arrested for wearing something here, because you will. Not something vaguely gay though, but you will get arrested for saying something bad about Israel. Like, this is how ridiculous it is that we're, like, everywhere we're in this situation now. Um, um, because they torture political prisoners to death in Russia. Yeah, what kind of political prisoners? Rainbow is banned from Russia these days, but only for ordinary people, not gay oligarchs. Of course. Of course. I personally know, because I ran into them because they wanted, like, oh god, I don't even know how the fuck I even found out about them, but they're kind of like this gay oligarch couple. They are Russian. They are like neoliberals, like basically like shitting on Russia, but they are the ones who stole all the money and still benefiting from fucking everybody over. And you're just sitting there like, you are such a piece of shit. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Like, sure, you're saying like shit about Putin, and that's about where it stops. You don't give a fuck about anything else. You don't give a fuck about like racial issues or anything like that. You don't care about the fact that people are suffering, even in the country that you're in. For example, in Canada, not a single fuck is given. Like, because your God is capital. That's all. You don't give a fuck. Well, you don't have any principles outside of that. Yeah, I think he asked the Meta glasses where is a good vintage shop in Italy, and the glasses led he. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if they're handing out these sentences for peacefully protesting, one would wonder why not do something more. Exactly. Why not go all the way at this point? Like, they're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna incarcerate you anyway. What's the point at this? Not now. People need to understand suffering is never a competition. It's never about things being better or worse than anything. It's about what we can do and continue to persist. Okay, so for example, as a Russian in Russia, as a white Russian in Russia, I had a better position than native people have in Canada. Okay? Just based on what they've done to them, the last concentration camp type deal, concentration as in like a residential school, closed in 1997 in Canada. Do you understand how recent that is? Like, we are not told these things. So when I came here, I did not realize how some people here have it so bad, but it's just you don't see it because they're the minority. They have been attacked for so long that and segregated so long that you don't even get to see it. Because the thing is, they have like the residential their residencies, like territories that belong to First Nations here, like different types of nations all over the country. There was times where they weren't even allowed to leave. Now there's a bunch of laws that like make it basically impossible for them to get their benefits from being on the res while being outside of the res. Like the benefits that they get for, you know, like the from their not laws, what are they called, like things that kind of the government creates as like social programs kind of thing, you know. I stopped bothering with boy groups. Me too. This is why I'm happy to start my research regarding renewable energies. I may not do much, but I'm happy to help regardless, as well as voting for greener parties, of course. Yeah, I feel okay about most of 17, but it's mostly because they ripped their asses so much to get where they are. I don't believe they'd risk it. But you never know. Well, BTS also, you know, and yet they still risked it. And the teacher said that there were many films about it anyway, and that we have heard enough about World War II anyway on TV. Well, it's crazy to say that in Hungary. It's like, well, we kind of have to learn about it, don't we? Would it really take so long to see the changes? We saw positive changes during COVID lockdown. It wasn't even a huge span of time. No, well, the positive changes. So, for example, was it Chile or was it Cuba? maybe it was Cuba. They turned basically went from 20% of the population being literate to 100% being literate within 2 years or something, because they basically got everyone who can read to go out there and teach people how to read. It was like their main goal within 2 years to do that, and they actually achieved it. Except there was like a lot of people sent from America to like shoot the teachers and torture the teachers, so to like stop the spread of literacy in Cuba. It was either Cuba or Chile. I think it was Cuba though. That was so fucked up. Actually, when I read about it, I was like, oh, okay, just meddling in like in the most fucked up ways all the time. Yeah, I'm not even using most social media now. We can't even research it properly anymore online. Properly. Google used to have tools to search specific phrases and wordings, and they keep removing those more and more. We're going to have to go back to hitting the libraries. Yeah, but the libraries don't have as much either. Especially the the university libraries are not bad. Those ones can actually have really good information, but then it's hard to actually get access to them sometimes if you're not a student or not an alumni. And then the city libraries are full of kids books. They don't really have anything like that's for adults to actually expand their minds. Do bots represent a gain for the companies? Yes, that's why they do it. That's why Meta is obsessed with it. That's why YouTube likes it and stuff like that, because it's basically creating fake traffic, and they collect money off of those fake impressions on ads. Yeah, it's really hard to tell whether traffic is real, because even the comments, they unless it's live it can be a little bit harder to fake. But even then, I think that they probably still kind of do it. Lisa reading this message 15 minutes later. Stop. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up. Lisa, I love your stream. Thank you. Um, I swear, I'm trying. I love when people act like homophobia doesn't exist outside of Asia, Africa, and Russia when homophobic attacks are everywhere. Yeah, it's kind of like, like Cozier making a song about like Take Me to Church, right? And it's focusing on Eastern European like guys and like them kind of getting killed for it or whatever. And then in the same day, I'm just like scrolling and I see another trans woman got murdered in America, or someone got attacked in Canada, and it's like another shooter in Montreal or something like that who just went after women. And I'm just sitting there like, is it still a problem? Yes, it is. But it's a problem that's with our mentality, with our culture, with the way that we think about the world, with our economy, with the way that we approach everything. It's not just Asia. And you start to feel it when you move here. You genuinely don't see how bad it can get here until you're here. You do know what I mean? And the thing is, maybe again, I care more about it right now because I live here and it affects me and people I love, right? People who I know, my friends. I guess if I would have been back home living there, it would be like I would be commenting more on Russian politics than I would be on politics here. Because, well, this is the politics that affects me the most, right? One positive thing is real hate is through the roof these days. Exactly. Thank fuck. Any political prisoners, the artists, the journalists, regular people who said shit. I want to know. Okay, maybe I should wait until I'm like in a better place in life to look into it, because I really don't like, I'm already on the edge. I'm always learning new shit that's so fucked up and I just can't fucking do it. Maybe later on I should like look into it and whatever, because the thing is, I just knowing the way that they are persecuting people here right now, I would want to learn about what's going on back home too. But it's like I learn about it here and I'm already exhausted, and then like thinking about reading about a whole, like all that those news that I don't know the details of, and then having to look into it. I'll do it at some point, but it's just like, it's not about looking at the social problems of other countries to feel superior. After all, if you don't even look at the social problems in your own country, how can you even know what it feels like? Yeah, I saw the Channel 5 video of Andrew in Palestine. It made my blood boil. Israeli people are ghouls. It's really fucked up. It genuinely is. If you said anything online in support of Ukraine, for example, right. Again, if you are a leftist, you shouldn't be supporting the war. You shouldn't be supporting the war because it's manufactured. But it's also not something you shouldn't be supporting Ukraine either. They are acting as a military station now. They're using their own people, because it's not like it's not a good situation from any angle. I Whenever people are like, I'm sure people just were talking about it because they didn't want to invade, right? Which is, I personally, what I would do in this situation, I would get people who are being targeted for their ethnicity, and I would relocate them into Russia. That would cost a lot less than a whole ass war, right? But they don't care about cost because they're money laundering. Both the Europeans, the Russians, the Americans, the Ukrainians, all of them are money laundering. Do you understand? It's a war for oligarchs to money launder public money through the war machine. This is not something where you can just go support Ukraine, because it's not about an ideological war. It's an oligarchs war. And on top of it all, this is the thing. If actually they were caring specifically about this, like the ethnic minorities issue and the Nazi issue, whatever, it would make more sense to just relocate those people. And because Americans wanted to put their, what are they called? Like some kind of artillery, some kind of weapons on the border, just put nukes on the border. That's it. Which I know the Western world would see as a lot more aggressive than invading Ukraine. But who gives a shit? At least you wouldn't be invading another country. But they don't care. This is, do you understand? Neither one of them actually gives a shit about what is better for the people or about the ideology, because they're on the same team. It's the oligarchs and us. It's not, being like, I want like this country to win in this war. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're all assholes. And not because, oh, both sides or whatever. No, one invaded, but they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it on purpose. That's why they say, like, that's why Zelensky said that fucked up shit about wanting Ukraine to be a big Israel. Did you hear him say that? It's not out of thin air. The oligarchs have a plan of extracting value out of every country. What did Ukraine get out of this? The fact that they owe all of their minerals and everything to America now? What did the government, what did the people of Russia get? What did they get? But the oligarchs are everywhere in Aspen. They're hiking, they're fucking skiing in all of those expensive resorts and whatever. And there's like an influx of them, of all Americans, Europeans, Russians, Ukrainians, all of them oligarchs' babies. And there's an influx of them for some reason. Yeah, it's just out of thin air. They just got that money out of thin air. I would get in trouble for this too, though. But I would get in trouble for this stance of actually knowing that it's money related. Is quite literally, I would get in trouble in Europe for it. I would get in trouble in America for it, in Canada, in Russia too, because you have to be like you have to act as if it's a nationalist issue. It's everywhere. This stance will not be tolerated because it's about them actually inflicting this shit on us. Because personally, yeah, Russia sent minorities to the front line first. Yeah. Why do you think that is? Is it racism? You can say that, sure. I think it is racism that's intertwined with capital again, because it's very similar to the fact that as to why Americans have a lot of like African Americans in their army. It's because they are in need of more. They're usually put in a position that they are less stable financially. So they would be likely to take those offers. So, for example, where I'm from, it's next to Buryat region, right? And I know that a lot of them went to war as volunteers, but they were sent the what they called, like when they call you to war or whatever the fuck, like they, do you know what I mean? I can't remember the word. I've seen people say that big numbers of people will only start doing something when they get uncomfortable enough. What are your thoughts? Yeah, that's basically what it is. Drafted, yes, thank you. That's basically what it is. It's horrible because, to be honest, we could have done a lot, or we could do a lot more, a lot quickly, and with a lot less casualties if we're doing it when we still have access to food, when there's still not as many what is it called, droughts, when people are still not, like, the disabilities haven't caught up to them yet, that they have acquired through COVID, consistent COVID reinfection and stuff like that, right? We could do a lot more now than we will be able to in 10 years, when it's so hot we can't function outside, when it's all of that kind of stuff. It's fucked up that people wait until the very last minute, but they do that because they genuinely, it needs to be a big enough portion of the population that's miserable and doesn't mind throwing everything away. Do you know what I mean? Because as long as when you don't have anything, because they took everything, they extracted all the value, extracted all the money, extracted all the resources, then you're able to hear the phrase, "You've got nothing to lose but your chains." Do you know what I mean? Anyway, Rihanna news left. Yes, I gotta get to it too. I'm so behind. I'm trying to catch up. Wait. It's fucking crazy when from the outside looking in, the Western world is a damn oasis. Then you get there and you realize it's just the big cities and that's fucking it. It genuinely infuriates me that my parents chose the Midwest to move to because of family values. And like, yes, I am in a position to figure out a way for myself to move. But the amount of BS racism my sister had to deal with, she's less white passing than me, was horrendous. Yeah, because the thing is, and that's the thing, like, well, the whole thing with family values, whatever, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And the thing is, you don't get to a point of being like, fuck him, honestly, fuck him, until you move here and until you start to see how much white supremacy is controlling everything, how much it's literally in the fabric of this society. It's genuinely, like, disturbing. And then you start seeing how it seeps back into your culture back home. And you're like, wow, so we're just going to be shitheads everywhere now. Okay, but that's wonderful. No, because when it comes to that doctor, I wish I told him to his face that I was barely managing to avoid getting assaulted even just as a teenager. I don't know what to tell you. This isn't some utopia. Yeah, especially, like, because at least from my personal experience, this is anecdotal evidence, granted, but I think that the statistics support this. All the trans people I know, especially the trans women, are having a hard time here. Like, they consistently deal with, at the very least, microaggressions. So whenever people just, like, act as if it's not happening here, it's like, well, how long are you going to pretend like this is not a problem? Because it would be better if we just accepted that it's a problem and fixed it, instead of pretending like it's not a thing. Sometimes I take a break from local politics and look at American politics, and then I feel terrible and go back to looking at local politics. Yeah, of course, it was at the start of the war when no one knew anything. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, when at the start of the war, even I remember the war started the day after I finished chemo or something. And I remember being like, what? Like, I genuinely, because I told my mom, I was like, like, of course there would be no invasion. Not because we're fucking saints or something, but because it's Ukraine, you know? Like, we always, we never had this type of issue, at least in modern times, right? So when it happened, I was like, what the fuck? Why? And like, if you actually follow the money and you actually look at the ideological backbones of these places now, they're run by oligarchs whose only objective is to line their pockets. It's the same thing as in America. America is just an oligarchy. There's nothing more to it, really. And we're doing the exact same shit. So this isn't to say that we're saints. This is actually the opposite. But this is why it's not a question of, well, I support Russia. Well, I support Ukraine. You're a dumbass. You need to get your head out of your ass and finally look at the facts. We were supposed to seize the as much as we can to actually have the control of things, because our governments are ran by people who have basically pledged allegiance to each other unconditionally in blood. Like, they're real close. While we're fighting about stupid shit, they're real close. They will die for each other if need be. Those fuckers. How me and MT feel like saying shit we can go to jail for at home. Literally, the things that I've said today, fuck. Sometimes I'm like, damn, like because the thing is, I've seen my friends get in trouble. I've seen them raided here with literal. Did I tell you about the Vancouver thing where they really showed up at this woman's place because she was supporting anti-fascist movement, and like sending Pampers and stuff like that, like actual just like diapers to Palestine, and the army showed up at her house. The author of the Metro book series got exiled, and now I'm pretty sure that he lives in northwestern Europe because he spoke out against inhumane atrocities in Ukraine. What Metro book? I'm still pissy. My love of my life from Ukraine fell under propaganda and broke my heart and will never talk to me probably. Yeah, like the people that I told you were literally telling me that my blood is dirty with Asian blood. Yeah, that was my Ukrainian friend from university. I don't give a fuck that that this is the conflict that's happening. I thought we had principles as people who have their own political views and who subscribe to certain ideologies, who believe in actually doing something. I thought that we were leftists. Turns out that she was actually on the right. It's just she's and she used to be gay. Used to be, by the way, is the kicker. Her dad was really against it. Her mom was not. And it was so fucking crazy because she like literally dropped the whole gay shit, the whole lesbian shit, and started dating a man at the same time as she started posting on her stories about how all Russians have dirty blood, you know, because we're mixed with Asians. I was like, oh wow, okay, okay. um, raid. Diva, what ethnic minorities Russia cares for? Me and all other ethnic minorities, people I know in Russia has been saying the discrimination became so much worse since war started. I think, I don't know. To be honest, like since it's a capitalist state and the principles guiding the country are the same as American ones now, I would say they don't care about any. Because after the revolution, everyone got equal participation, right? So if someone, for example, was personally like a little bitch, like for example, some Russian in Irkutsk was a little bitch to someone in Ulan-Ude. Is it Ulan-Ude? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, Ulan-Ude. It would only be a conflict between them two. It wouldn't be systematic, right? Because no one of them would be paid less or more for the same job, or given a job for whatever reason, or one of them would get medical care and the other one wouldn't. There wouldn't be that bullshit going on, right? Because it wasn't allowed. So you could have a personal conflict, but you wouldn't have a systematic problem. Now, in this system, this is why so many more Buryat people were sent to the war. Why? Because a lot more of them were drafted, because a lot more of them were sent invitation to drafting, but they were also uniquely more vulnerable, because they weren't, if it would have been back in the day, they wouldn't be vulnerable in terms of their financial situation to compare to white Russians, because they would be making the same money in terms of just like average statistics. Nowadays, after 30 years of capitalism, obviously the same bullshit is happening, where there's the redistribution based on who's the minority and who's not a minority. Not a redistribution, a distribution, and an unfair distribution of resources. So when you draft them and you ask them to volunteer, they're more likely to say yes. So you are both rigging it by sending the drafts to them, while at the same time they're also more uniquely prone to saying yes, even voluntarily, because they were incentivized. How? Monetarily, right? If you are now a white Russian, I'm sure after 30 years of this bullshit going on, right? Even more, right? What is it, 34 years, right, of capitalist Russia? It's definitely, this generation is definitely feeling the effects. So there's no way in hell that you could be a minority in Russia right now and not have this issue of being uniquely vulnerable to manipulation by offers of monetary incentive. You get it. Zelensky stole a horrific amount of money and people still think he's an angel. Most people I know, like even here, a lot of people there's a lot of like Ukrainians who came here. A lot of them who are not right wingers, or like at least they're like more like centrist. They may be more traditional, but they're not like right wingers in terms of being, into white nationalism or whatever. They are not happy about the whole situation because they are seeing what's happening, right? After so many years, you start to see where the money is going, what's happening, and the fact that we were all just fucking used for this bullshit. At least, I mean, most families have some kind of connections, right, between state lines, not state lines, country lines, I guess, like, or even not over country lines, because I have a portion of the family that is Ukrainian, because they were married and whatever, and like, what are you gonna do, right? Most people have been had a life like that because we've been part of the same state for a century, other things like that. So this is kind of like creating this type of conflict between people who share a border like that for such a long time. It's going to cause a lot of issues to regular people, not to people in power. Yeah, I meant drafting, yeah. But the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex, the US has genuinely screwed itself. Yeah, because the thing is, if you look at Gulag, for example, and how much people here use it as like a pejorative, right? And they go like, oh, like you would be in a Gulag. And it's like, first of all, you have ICE detention centers. Second of all, you had concentration camps that inspired Hitler. Third of all, and this is all things that you learn here when you actually move here and you're friends with people of different, like all different types of people, right? You meet people who are African Americans and they tell you shit and you're like, what the fuck? And it's just like a thing. And you just kind of have to like keep on learning about this things and keep on being horrified by it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just every single day I find some other bullshit. Like, they had recipe books for preparing African Americans that were there, like they were enslaved. You think I'm joking? I thought someone was just pulling my leg. It's like, oh, like you're a foreigner, you'll believe anything. Because I was like, that can't, like, that's so uniquely cruel. Uniquely cruel. Even Nazis didn't do that. It's so uniquely cruel. And it turns out it's true. So whenever someone's like, like this stereotype of like an angry black woman or whatever, I'm like, I sure hope she's angry. I sure hope she tells you what she thinks. Because, like, what the fuck? Yeah. Go Google it. Should we have some history classes? Do you want me to tell you the horrors that I learned about this place? This continent? Hasbro has been contracts for Peppa Pig with clauses integration something. They got Peppa. They got Peppa signing over their voices. What the fuck? I saw an ad about ethical AI today, and it pissed me off so bad. Dude, every day now, the only offers for like what is it called? Fuck, why can't I remember anything? Sponsorships. The only offers that I get now is AI companies. It's mostly AI companies, to be honest. AI companies, like gambling stuff, and yeah, that's mostly it. Not in Canada, but I watched a video of trans women refugees that came to Canada and were talking about how trans healthcare is not perfect. Well, yeah, it's not. There will be issues everywhere, but I'm sure that it's better now here in Canada than in America. I'm like, one of my trans friends can't use their passport anymore to go to America. They're American. They can't go because Trump made it that it's like not a real document anymore if your gender, like the sex assigned at birth, something about the gender in your passport, that he like removed it. You can't basically be identified as you want to be identified, I guess. A very bad timing of me quitting smoking yesterday. I need to smoke after all that. Oh, I'm sorry, empty fuck. Maybe we'll do a little dance. Used to be, girl. I know. Me wondering why they rejected the renovation of my visa. Tuna, let's stay strong. Ex-homosexual. I know. Drug trafficking is a capitalist business that serves U.S. and Mexican capitalists. Exactly. It serves both. But they make it seem... Except the people. We suffer. They are profiting. And then they're like, you guys hate each other. How about you guys hate each other because we tell you through media, through all the shows that we make, that Mexicans are evil cartel owners, and we are trying to help them, but they don't want our help. One thing worse than a homophobe is an ex-gay. Ex-gay is like the saddest, shortest story by Hemingway, but it's even shorter and sad. Diva, the thing is, she lives in America. I think maybe either Canada or America. I'm pretty sure she was in America the last time I saw anything about her. So that was not because she had to. It was not because it was a lavender marriage or something like that, or they were trying to kind of like keep up appearances or something like that, or it was illegal. She just decided all that. You know what I mean? Same thing here in the South. The first ones that were sent to war, not even paid contracts, were the Caucasian minorities here. To everyone who might not know it, when I say Caucasian, I mean actual ethnicities who are from Caucasian mountains. Exactly, because again, if you are a Westerner, you probably think Caucasian is like white, because that's how it's used here. But actually, Caucasian means from Caucasus Mountains, okay? That's usually like brown people. More or less. The fact that they made couches out of Black American skin too, genuinely baffling. Yeah. Fuck. Just so disgusting. Like, just the thought of it. Like, how... And it's so uniquely cruel. I have never read of anything like this anywhere else. And maybe there are places that had this, but this was... Like, it's just so fucking crazy. I knew they turned them into shoes and ate them, but fucking recipe book... Yeah. Fuck, I'm starting to feel nauseous. It's literally disgusting. The fact that Americans or just Western in Spain cannibals as indigenous people when while the true cannibals were them all along. Exactly. The fact that they're like whatever his name is, that mofo who's like they always talk about him, Jefferson or something, whatever. He's like he didn't have. They always say, oh, he had wooden teeth. He didn't. He had enslaved people's teeth as dentures. We are not mad enough. You're right. The amount of requests to create music and sound design for gambling games that I get nowadays, yeah, it's so bad. I work for a tech news media outlet and I have read so many bullshit articles on AI. Today, I had to design a cover for the headline 42 days, 2 ways you should be using AI right now. Ew. They invalidated a lot of driving licenses here overnight like that, which criminalizes trans people if they get pulled over. How the fuck are they supposed to get new license overnight? It's intentional cruelty. It literally is. Well, they really made it so they could trap trans people in the country that hates them. I'm going to do something drastic. I know. What is the news with Rihanna? Okay, so, oh my god. Okay, so ASAP Rocky, it's like a fucking humiliation ritual. You know what? I think that Rihanna stopped making music because like her male centeredness got the better of her. She's always been like that. She's always been like that. She's always been a weak ass bitch when it comes to anything and everything, really. Right wing bullshit all the way. Because Fenty, wait, what is it? Her lingerie shit. Was it like Savage Fenty? Something like that, right? Regardless, that business of hers has worse rating in terms of ethical shit and in terms of environmental impact than Shein. Okay? Just so you can gauge what we're talking about here. So much so, she's basically like at the top of offenders. So, but what I wanted to talk about today is what ASAP Rocky said at a concert. And he's such a little bitch. Like, I swear to God, I just, like, she... George Washington, I think, or Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, I think, maybe. Well, it doesn't matter. One of them bitches. Anyway, Rihanna and Selena Gomez, I don't recognize them these days. Girl, they used to be baddies. Yeah, I mean, they used to be baddies. I think because they were kind of ignorant back then and kind of acting on feelings, and their feelings were more aligned with who they grew up as, which is working class people. But they got used to that lavish life. As soon as they got past that threshold of struggle, they became just another, crusader for the rich. So let me show you. Let me show you. And I'm sorry, you guys, I don't want to ruin your mood. And the thing is, I feel like, to me, the reason why I talk about it is because I get in a worse mood by talking to people who pretend like nothing is happening. That's my take. I'd rather we rage together and we actually do something together than pretending like nothing is happening and basically being like not giving a fuck about what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, where is the Rihanna shit? Let me just Google it. Not Google it, but look it up on Twitter. Okay. Just get ready. Ugh. If you're in a bad mood, you know what? Just look at Ellie. Look at her arms. While I'm looking this up. Jesus Christ, why is it so fucking big? Whoa. Whoa. Okay, wait. Exactly. Talking to other people who care is important. Okay. And to those of you who are gonna get stressed out from this, you know what? I'll send you a kiss. Would that stress you out even more? Anyway, so here.
Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, because I would have fucked the shit out you if you was pretty, you know? Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, because I would have fucked the shit out you if you was pretty, you know? Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, because I would have fucked the shit out you if you was pretty, you know? Thank God y'all didn't know me when I was single, because
Желание отправ. Дива. Why would anyone ever say that? Genuinely, why would anyone ever say anything like this? Lisa went fictional women. Listen, not just fictional, but like, if someone like Ellie was real, I would wipe her up so quick. But without the murder, she can be capable of it if she wants to, like muscles and all that. But like maybe without like the murdering everyone in the way. Isn't Rihanna pregnant right at this moment? Dude, I think she is. Can we fix it? Baby, can we fix it? Fix it? The fact that this is an NCT 127 song and we already got Tail and Mark. And this song is just like, can we fix it? No, clearly you can't. My nose is itchy. I don't know why. I love this news Thursday lives. These are so informative to me. Oh my god, I'm glad. Hearing you actually talk about things is so refreshing. Most of the people in my life never talk about this stuff or just make general centrist statements. Yeah, and I'm so tired of that because it's so depressing to me. Because it's like, you guys, like, do I have to like shake you and scream about this? Because I'm scared. I'm scared and I want all of you, not even scared. I'm furious. I'm furious that we're not doing anything about it, even though we could do something about it. We are a lot more powerful than we think we are. There are countless examples in history of people actually, whenever money is actually used for the people instead of war, we can do so much. So much. The fact that we went from agrarian society that was so behind even the most behind countries in Europe in 1917 to being in space in the 1950s, do you understand what is possible if we just put that work, that all that effort that we use to just do pretend jobs, do this like stupid ass networking just to fucking act fake towards each other and stuff, like if we actually put all that energy into something useful and did honest work and didn't have trillionaires, billionaires, and whatever because they would be outlawed straight up. Do you understand how much further we would have been? How much better we would have been living? Someone who says that does not respect their partner. Exactly. But now that I remember that she's also pregnant right now, this is so disgusting. I genuinely like, she's honestly let herself, like she basically, like all of her music career, I guess, unless she really doesn't give a fuck about music and never gave a fuck about it, then it would make sense. But otherwise, it's like she gave all of that up. It looks like it. She's constantly pregnant. Constantly. And like she even gave her like performance, that performance that was for Super Bowl, pregnant. And it's like, why didn't you take that opportunity for the next year or something like that, so you could actually, do a full performance and like actually dance maybe and like move around or whatever? Because she was not, she just phoned it in. Which is like, it would have been fine if she didn't have a choice, like if she was like a working singer that needed to get her paychecks. I would understand if she did that. But in this case, it's like, oh, you just don't give a fuck and you don't respect your own career to give this, this performance of your oeuvre. Like, maybe, fuck, whatever. Someone who, wait, yeah, fictional woman, tank top muscles, Lisa looking. Doesn't have to be fictional. I'm just saying. LMAO stressing out, kids. I hate the phrase fucking this shit out of you in general. It's not hot, just sounds aggressive, please. Exactly, Lori, fuck. I know, right? And also, you know what? I hate words like cracked somebody or whatever the hell. Don't even dare. Don't you dare. Don't you even bring that shit into my house. Don't bring it under my fucking roof. And my roof is the entirety of the sky, actually. Just letting you know what my house and my roof is, where you're supposed to be obeying my rules. That means under this sky, as far as it can reach. Because what the hell do you mean? Why are you talking about it like that? It's also the same thing as like, people thinking that they're supposed to be only gentle with their partner or whatever if they are a virgin or something like that. No, actually. Maybe be considerate. Maybe listen to them. Maybe be a normal person instead of a fucking freak. How about that? What is he on about? I'm so lost. He's literally like this is... The worst thing is that someone said, I think like, wait, you're fine as fuck, you and your friend are fine as fuck. He serenades 2 fans in his show. This is why we be looking at her sideways. She be loud and proud about him. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Make it stop. Silly thing, he song. Is it, what is it, bad? Is it funny bad? Or is it good? Not gonna lie, all that vid did for me is give me flashbacks to bitch slapping some racist prick in high school, LMAO. That video give you flashbacks? Why? What? How? I've always enjoyed watching your videos because you're honest and talk about things as they are. Yeah, I'm like so tired of listening to people like, because the thing is, all of these people who are pretending like they don't have a political stance, they don't have opinions, they are apolitical, you bitches are lying. Okay? And whenever they don't say what they actually think, I'm like, oh, so a right winger. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's so nice. I fucking love that. You know what I mean? So there's no surprises here, Diva. I'm gonna tell you right away what I think. So at least you're not gonna be wasting your time listening to a girl who would like, you know what I mean? Would actually not stand up for you in real life. Or like if you were friends, she would just like let you struggle or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Fictional women tanked up dirty muscles, Lisa. NCT is in shambles. It really is, honestly. Titty, please change your username. I would never. Thank you, Titty. I love you. Why is a man giving you a compliment feel like a threat? Exactly. Like someone was saying on Twitter, being like, "Oh, he gave a compliment to this like girls and this whatever," and I was like, "That's a compliment to you?" He referred to this as if it would have been a thing that he would have done. Like, there's no agency from her side whatsoever. He just would have fucked her. Ah. Oh, okay. Fucking freak. Girl, she wants to be Violet Bridgerton, constitutively pregnant, but do you mean consistently or constitutively? Wait, constitutively. Interesting. Interesting, Devon. Very interesting. Oh. But with this man's child. Oh. Actually, you know what I hate about English? The way that it says, like, oh, being pregnant with someone's child, like with a man's child. And I especially hate the phrase, have my children. What do you mean, have my children? How are you even involved in this? Have my children. You're providing a DNA sample. It's not your child. Have my children. As if you are going to be, as if you're going to make it with the integrity of your body wasting away while the baby's feeding on you. As if you're using your calcium. As if you're gonna like lose your teeth when that baby is being formed in you and you just kind of placed it in her. As if it's your baby. What are you talking about? Have my baby. Not, they don't say, let's have kids. They say, have my babies. Do you want to get knocked out? Are you tired of living? Like, why are you provoking me? There's no way around this. Like, seriously, like, whatever. If a man said cracked, hit it, bagged a woman, I would slap the shit out of him on the spot. His face, spot in his face? What? And never look back. Spit in his face. Yeah. And you would be correct. I would support you wholeheartedly on that. Yes, it's sickening how men use so many violent and demeaning words to describe sleeping with women. Literally, what is wrong with you? Like, why is it like that for you? It's supposed to be about pleasure, not fucking, like, hitting, banging. Whatever. A pink strap-on is crazy. What? Who said that? Oh, I would hit him with a pink strap-on. Pink strap-on is crazy. What shade of pink? See us. or just Evan. Oh, he was basically saying this kind of thing to all the girls in the class and calling them. Oh. Good lord. It's so annoying, like, even though I'm attracted to men, I've never been attracted to that behavior. Like, I want to be treated with softness and care. Yeah, like, be normal. Be a person. How about you be a person? Constitutively, as in like, always. Okay. I'm bisexual, but the men I like do not exist in this reality. My standards are way too high. I'm not dealing with no BS. Your standards are not high. Your standards are just, I am a human being. And if you don't behave like I'm a human being, why would I even talk to you? This isn't even the standard. This is just like, I wouldn't talk to you just in general if you don't treat me like a person, because I am one. This is not up for a fucking debate. Okay? Being pregnant with someone's child, why would a man be there? Exactly, why would a man be there? It pisses me off in English, for real. Oh, Lisa, you're hitting the nail on the head. Word choice is so disregarded. The words that are chosen imply so much more. Exactly. Have my children, buddy. You orgasmed in 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and it ended there. She's going to go through body horror for months. Yeah. Make MPreg real. Yeah. Hey, did you see the Anthony Fantano versus Halsey conflict? I think it's a great example of medical misogyny and leftist spaces. What is that situation about? Because I know that he has said before he didn't like her album, which I think is fair. I also don't think that album is that great. But I'm confused as to what their conflict is, because I saw a bunch of people talking about it as if like they were like, why is he even talking about this, like la, la. And it's like he's a music critic, because they were talking about him not liking her album, and I was like, yeah, that's his job, actually. But I don't know whether like what happened between them. Did something happen recently or something? Why are they like this all of a sudden? What's the hex code for the pink strap diva? Oh my god. A lot of men have such fragile egos, they need to be obeyed or their world falls apart. Had a dude command me to go down on him. Excuse me? Not even asking, bro. It's disgusting. You you know what? I support you wholeheartedly in smacking him silly. Actually, listen, I would even support murder. When it comes to okay, never mind. I'm just saying, don't let anybody treat you like you are not a human being, especially when it's in such close contact, okay? They're not supposed to be assholes to you. Lisa, this is out of context, but please, can we have a stream where we listen to 28 Reasons, the whole album? I need it. We could. I mean, I think it will get all muted though. So it will only be available. I don't know if we might even get like a copyright strike in the middle of listening to it. But yeah, I don't know. Revisit iconic albums would be entertaining, but copyright might be promoted. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about. Because I've heard that it can get taken down, like you can get while you're even streaming. But on Patreon, we could do it, I guess. Because they don't do it there. This was that was drama I completely avoided. I only heard she was mad he didn't like the album. That's what I heard too, but that was a long time ago. That was like years ago, wasn't it? Am I behind on it or something? You know, I wish you could do that, like sing on top of it and avoid copyright. You can't. Oh, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Um that was a crazy amount of lip gloss that I just like fucking squeezed out. Holy shit. Um we did on Patreon. Did we listen to 28 Reasons on Patreon? I thought we listened to maybe her newer album on Patreon. I don't know. Genuinely, I wish I was smarter with the men I went out with back then because the whole date was a horror movie of red flags. If I'm ever single again, I'm never meeting someone in private for the first time. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, no, no. No private meetings for the first time. No private meetings for the first time. That's very dangerous. Uh, yeah, I'm not a fan of her music either, but he said she had main character syndrome and whiny for talking about her experience with cancer and lupus and didn't even provide context. Yeah, okay, so for me it's a little bit sensitive because I did look into it and she didn't have cancer. I don't know why she says she had cancer. Um like she had a condition, a pretty bad condition. I don't know why she would say she had cancer. Which to me, I'm sensitive to it because I had cancer. But yeah, I was like, girl, why would you say that? Like, you don't, lupus is bad enough. Why do that? Um, 28 reasons how this dead bee still has beef? What? What? Pink, it's called knowing your worth and what you deserve and listening to your heart. I remember that album review and he was being a bit dismissive, but likely didn't know about her health struggles and just hated the album. But he's weird for not apologizing. He's been stupid. Yeah, I mean, I remember that review I think honestly he should have just avoided the topic of health in general. I don't think there was a need for that, but I agree on the critiques of that album that it just, when you're in the arts, especially for some reason, like when it's people who don't have a background in the arts in terms of education. For some reason, which is like, again, you don't even need education in the arts, but it's just very common with people who don't have education, but they go into photography and stuff like that. They for some reason really love the, like, making series, especially this is in the West. I don't know about Eastern countries if they have the same type of thing or not, but it's very common for them to like make series where they recreate iconic artworks or photos. And I, I, conceptually, it just makes no sense. Conceptually, it's just not strong. I don't. Yeah, it's just not a strong idea. I guess it's good enough for like a really basic, like really pop, in terms of popular um, music genre and artist. Like it's good enough. I guess it's a concept because usually they don't even have a concept, right? They just like put a picture of them in an outfit on the cover and call it a day, right? So it is more effort than you would get from many pop girls. But, you know, um, yeah, condition with lupus that required chemo. Selena Gomez had the same thing. Sometimes when you have like an aggressive lupus, and the biologica um, medication is not like fast acting enough, sometimes they do chemo because it can target cells quickly. But I believe this was a separate condition. Yeah, I just don't understand why she, like, that's the thing. I looked into it and it was a separate condition because I was curious about it since that review. I'm confused as to why it came up again now because not because you guys brought it up, but because I saw it come up again. I'm just like confused as to why all of a sudden. Lolly Rock is finally getting a third season. Yeah, I know. I haven't watched it at all, but yeah, interesting that they are bringing it back. I like Fantano, I can't lie. The same reason I like Lisa, you guys don't sugarcoat things, and I know your shit. Um, I have a lot of respect for that. Oh, I know your shit. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, sure, I don't always agree with Fantano. I don't think I have to. His job is to critique, his job is to give um, contextually relevant critique on music pieces, with his like education in music and whatever. He can give good um, overviews. He is educated enough to be uh, in that position. Um, but he's also like like he's quite left, but he's probably like the American left. Like he's not. Mm, I'm definitely more left than him, but that's like not. He's a surprise to anybody. But I think that in general, like when I listen to him and whatever, sure, I don't agree with everything. Um, and I don't really expect him. The thing is, I don't really. Um, I think I prefer when people are honest and direct but tactful. Um, and that they are being a human being instead of like some fake ass shit online, because I think that honestly we've got so many people who are um, don't say anything, while at the same time you can tell that they have right-wing politics and they are influencing the culture in a negative way, pulling people further right just by like covertly Is that the right word to use here? I think so. Influencing people's opinions on things that kind of like drag them down a alt-right pipeline. uh Melita, isn't it when lupus develops into cancer? No. Lupus and cancer are not the same thing. Lupus is an autoimmune disease. It's your body attacking you. Usually it is a problem with your white blood cells, right? Because they are the ones that are attacking foreign objects. In this case, it's not a foreign object, it's usually your organ or something else along those lines. Cancer is a condition when there is a mistake in the code, in DNA code of a cell. The cell is mutated, right? So it mutates into a useless cell. By useless, it means that it is, when it's created, it goes into the replication immediately, and it doesn't actually stay in that stage of doing work in between being created and being replicated. So cancer is basically cells that replicate themselves without doing any useful work. Okay? Does that make sense? Fantano is not some random idiot. He's been doing this professionally for decades. Yeah. And also, you don't have to agree with him on everything. He's a critic. You know, this is why we don't have critics. And why our culture is so fucking stagnant and why it sucks so much ass. It's because people get paid to do these reviews. None of them actually review shit. And then we get to this point where even the most like run-of-the-mill bullshit gets praised for nothing. And there's no actual critique being created that's relevant in the field, you know? People only say, I like this album or I dislike this album, when we need critics to actually critique these artists from a professional standpoint. I learned that the great imitator is what they called lupus, so she tried to play on that, but yeah, I don't know about the execution. I think that, again, this is a lot more effort than you get from most pop girls, okay? And I'm sure there's also a lot of things behind the scenes that kind of hinder her, not experience, but her potential, right? Because as far as I understand, she has a really hard time getting to actually produce an album without going with like the most basic ass shit, because her label is not allowing it. And also he supported her when it came to that. He like talked about that interview that she gave on the radio about her not being able to release anything without having to hit high numbers in terms of charts and whatever, and in terms of sales. And he said that that's not fair, like, to her. So I don't know. Fantano quote tweeted a shady comment about his Halsey review, and the Halsey, I guess, fans got mad at him. Okay, that's why it brought back up again. Okay. I don't know Code Lyoko. I don't. He has the interest to give a thoughtful review of music. He may have the capacity, but sorry, he doesn't engage enough with the material to the point that he disregards the obvious themes. Sure, I mean, first and foremost, this guy is a music critic, not a concept critic, right? So Halsey put in more into the concept work than most musicians do. But the music wasn't that good. It does not mean that it's like unlistenable or for everyone. I think it's okay for you to enjoy her music, and especially if she's like if she's like very genuine about it. I think that there's always some kind of something interesting or worthwhile to pick up from a piece of art, right? Anthony Fan refused to acknowledge the fact that his critique of their album was misogynistic, not that critique in general of the album, but that his critique was unfairly mean and misogynistic. I've seen this review, and you know how I see misogyny everywhere. Um, I don't think that I don't know any man who's actually properly, um, like actually on the money with everything when it comes to um, women's rights and stuff like that. Бебечка, что такое? She's breathing so heavy, my little baby. But um, he's fine. He's not a misogynist. The thing is, I don't agree with him, for example, on some topics. But I don't think he's a misogynist just because he criticizes some albums made by women. There's plenty of albums by women that he praises and gives them like tens. Halsey is not a very strong artist. I'm sorry. I understand if you like her, especially if you've been with her art since Tumblr days. I think I'm sure there's something to be enjoyed about her music and stuff like that, but I don't think she's a very strong artist from my perspective, from what I've heard from her. It does not mean that she shouldn't make music or something. It's also subjective to a certain degree, right? That even if I, for example, think that she's not a strong artist, doesn't mean that she's not a strong artist. It's just one opinion. Also, wasn't Halsey also dumped by her partner and left with a toddler at the same time? TBH, I didn't even listen to the album, but to me, there are enough reasons to whine about. I mean, I think that review, honestly, I didn't really care for that review that much, to be honest. This isn't like just say that he's just was so good at that criticism. It's just like he needs to go into a hall of fame or something. But the problem here is I do like hearing from people about their difficult experiences instead of nonsense, right? I really do appreciate when people dive into topics like that in their art. However, just having a difficult life or having things happen to you does not make your art good in terms of technique, in terms of artistic quality. It might be potent in terms of you actually having the background to have the right to talk about those topics, but it does not make you a good artist per se. Because art, when it goes out of hobby realm, it becomes a craft, it becomes part of art history, it becomes part of conceptual work, and all the like the skills that you need and whatever. It's a different conversation from the experiences, if he said like, oh, like she's just whining too much or whatever, it's kind of irrelevant to the critique, in my opinion, because like and like how is that, like I don't think that that's a good critique to include because it's kind of useless in that context, right? Because like, okay, so she's whiny, as if most albums are in that, because albums are usually concentrated situations in songs, right? Concentrated experiences that someone would want to write a song about, and usually because it's so connected to emotions, I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously going to be more whiny than the person actually is, and it's not interesting to listen to something that has absolutely no emotional gravitas. You have to have a little bit of dramatic flair when it comes to performance art of any form, right? In all this conversation, we're forgetting the album is mid as fuck. I heard it from start to finish. There was one pretty okay song. The rest was derivative, in my opinion. Yeah, Halsey's like the thing is like if you like her music, that's great. I think that there part of enjoying someone's music is when you're. It's dependent on when you were introduced to that music. Do you know what I mean? Oftentimes, if you're introduced at the right time to someone, you have a lot more interest and grace for their music. Like it's kind of like me with Sonmi, because I do love some of her music, but some of it is corny. It is. However, I have a lot more grace for her than I do for Halsey. Do you know what I mean? It's because I was introduced to her at the right time with the right songs. So now she's like framed to me in a way that's always going to be aligned with me more than if I would have been introduced to her through You Can't Sit With Us, for example. Even though I think that You Can't Sit With Us has a lot more merit than people give it. Yes, the rap part is horrible, but the rest slaps. Just in terms of like a regular synth pop song. It's not revolutionary, but you know what I mean. And now he's going on a Twitter rant on how he's been unfairly targeted by Halsey's fans, but like no one was bringing up this but him, like after all this time. Yeah, I don't know why he would fucking repost that. That's just dumb of him. Because sure, fans can be a lot, but there's no reason for him to be doing all that. Do you know what I mean? He has a 10-minute N-word compilation and used to be very anti-SJW, and I think he has not fully improved. I mean, the fact he can't take criticism is very telling, Amo. N-word compilation? What the fuck? God, yes, people hate this Swiftologist too, but at least he's engaging with the art critically and can string sentences together. Exactly. So, listen, Swiftologist too. For example, I don't agree with his take on Zara Larsson's album. I also see that he is such an American. Like he does not have the context of anything European to save his life. He would not be able to understand why Eurosummer is so interesting, as like a reference to early like or late 2000s music. Do you know what I mean? His take on that was just absolutely dumb as hell. And the fact that he's giving Taylor so much grace when Taylor is genuinely hasn't progressed as a writer since Evermore. I mean, how many albums do you need of slop for you to get tired of her? Like how many? How many do you need? But I'm still glad he's around talking about this shit and actually writing reviews. Sure, I might not agree with him, but he's actually putting in the work to review shit properly. Not just, I listened to it and I like this song and that song, which is like just an opinion, not a review or critique. Shitty misogynist, stop sticking up for him, diva. Oh, hi, Maya. Dude, I mean, I understand people being pissed about the N-word compilation. I did not even hear about that. So I don't know when that happened and how this never came across my desk. But in terms of misogyny, dude, he is not more misogynistic than any man who's more or less not that misogynistic. I am never gonna be like, sticking up for him too. Sticking up for him. Diva, when do I ever stick up for men for real? I just think that some of that shit is just not worth this type of reaction when this type of reaction should be reserved to actually stopping people like what is his name? That right winger. He's got a name of some sort. Andrew Tate, for example. Like, a lot more energy should be put into jumping that bitch and actually getting him off the internet somehow than fans wasting all of their energy, especially people who are like from like BTS fandom, for example. They can do so much because there are so many of them and they organize like crazy. Why on earth are they spending more time jumping Fantano when there's Andrew Tate out there? Can we deal with that first? Because I really don't. The type of, even if Fantano is a misogynist and you're right or whatever, the type of misogyny he is inconsequential to my life because he still supports abortion rights. He does not think that women need to give up their right to vote, other things like that. That's like, we need to deal with the violent freaks first. That should be the priority. Payola reviews are the only reason Alter Ego by Lisa got any positive reviews, because it should have been dead the second she talked about Vixie, Speedy, and that BS. It was so bad. God, Lisa's album was so bad, so astronomically bad. It's crazy. I mean, how did it even come out? I mean, I understand how, because like she's just so rich now, she can do whatever, and also because of her boyfriend and whatever. But God, seeing Roger Ebert, a famed critic, giving low scores to some of my favorite movies made me realize you don't have to listen to critics. Yeah, you don't, but we need them. Because they create cultural conversation that's actually based on more than just opinion, right? Than just feelings that are like happening in the moment. They have to actually, I mean, at least good critics, right? The ones that are respected in any regard, they have to be putting in the work to give you the context, right? You don't have to agree with it. Most of the things that we read, even on Patreon, like most of the text, not all of them, obviously, most of them are either things that like, yeah, like no shit, and it's kind of just good to see that it has been discussed before. But there's also another level to this, right? Where you kind of go, well, this Susan Sontag writing that we read last time, I don't agree with most of the things that she said. It was still useful to read it though. Yeah, we use it too lightly. The music is never that good with Halsey, but who gives a fuck? Not everything has to be pristine. Yeah, exactly. People think putting effort into an album good art. Like, no, it can still be bad and of low quality for various reasons. Exactly. He basically said her confronting her mortality was too narcissistic after she almost died. I don't know. Like, when I watched it, I did not hear something like that, but maybe I was just like, maybe I didn't take it too personally, or not personally, but too much like a jab or something. I don't know, because I don't remember it being that vicious. But also, not liking her music doesn't give him a pass to be demeaning, though. True. That's true. Yeah, he was called a misogynist when he criticized Gracie Abrams' album. Yeah, and I don't agree with that because Gracie Abrams is also not a good artist. She was just there. She's just there. She's fine. She's not good. She's not bad. She's there. She might be. She's a mediocre performer and a mediocre writer. She's a bad artist. She's not good at it. But that's most people in music. You know, most people in music don't actually know how to be a full-fledged artist. And that's not like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? He said her lyrics were whiny because she is expressing her fear of leaving her loved ones behind. Well, again, I would have to rewatch that review to actually see how vicious that was, because I don't agree with that. I don't agree with him saying that, because it is something to be whiny about. Anyway, I'm not a fan of Halsey or her music. I just don't know if a music critic gets a pass for separating the theme of the album from the sound when he's criticizing lyrics, which it doesn't feel like it's okay. Um, well, I'm not gonna have to rewatch the fucking review to tell you whether I think it's harsh or not. Because I remember watching it and I remember just like not feeling any particular way about it. And then looking at the photos that she did, looking at the songs that she did, and being kind of like, okay, that's just meh as per usual. I don't really care for her music. That's why I don't feel particular way about it right now. But I might rewatch the review just to see if it was that vicious. I'm especially interested in the musical part of it because just how bad it should be to give it a 1 out of... Oh, he gave it a 1 out of 10? I thought it was like a 4. If AMAP people don't have any point of reference for what the non-man's experience is like. Uh, yeah, I mean, men always whine on their in their music. Always. So much. All they do is whine, really. It's about dismissing a woman's expression of her feelings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. The irony is that Swiftologist is from Singapore and of Irish descent. From Singapore, I'm sure his parents were just working there. He's not actually like culturally Singaporean. Literally every man has a baseline level of misogyny, and so do women. It's about deconstructing it actively and seeing, and I see him do that more and more in the way he speaks IMO. Yeah, and also like he's the way that he talked about Olivia's recent album and stuff like that. He seems to understand that needs that like when he criticizes music, he criticizes it in context. Like he's not going to be like, why are you not making music that's like mature enough to be made by a 40-year-old when it's Olivia Rodrigo who's like 23, right? So he's like, in that sense, I guess he does adjust in that regard. It's like how people jump at Hassan at any chance they get. Meanwhile, there's freak weirdos running rampant on social media and your own government's hello. Yeah, like the president is a pedo, rapist. Why are we talking about Hassan? I don't care to talk about Hassan when we have a president like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, let's tighten up. So we shouldn't talk about it just because it doesn't affect you. That's kind of giving just shut up and take it a bit uncomfy to hear. No, I don't think so. Well, the thing is, I have my own grudges because she said she had cancer when she didn't, okay? Let's start there, actually. That's weird. How about we talk about that then? If we're going to talk about things that actually affect this situation and who is talking in this conversation, which is me talking to you. Misogyny affects us all. She was sick. I was sick too. I was even younger than she was when I was diagnosed, and I was diagnosed with something that actually was going to fucking kill me because it was an actual cancer. Instead of saying that it's cancer just because you used chemo for treatment, it's not the same. Yeah, critics are also up for criticism because that's the whole thing. Like, that's the whole point. Let's actually watch that review again because I'm reading a lot of things I don't remember. Yeah, but we're almost at 4 hours, so I'm gonna be wrapping it up soon because it's a little bit much. Um, yeah, people were critiquing him about it because the same way they critique everyone for critiquing Taylor Swift. It means absolutely nothing for like to me because Taylor's music has been shit for a while now. And if someone is criticizing it and giving her a 3 or a 4 or even a 1 for her album, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense because she literally did not put any effort into it, especially her last album. Wanna flame me for it? Go ahead. I'm not giving any flowers or saying that it's even 7 out of 10 to an album that was thrown together with just literally her eyes closed. like, I'm not a Fantano hater. I just think as much as he is a critic, he is a YouTuber and he can do stuff as rage bait. Yeah, I think he does, well, at least the framing of it, right? Or giving a not good rating and being vicious to artists he can get away with. I mean, yeah, but he also does a lot of unpopular things in terms of like not giving a good rating when he's supposed to because people are gonna get mad, and sometimes giving a good rating when people don't want him to. It's kind of like a, but he is still a YouTuber. It's true. Like, actually, you know what? At this point, I don't even know if it's a YouTuber thing because it's like everything is rage bait. Like, everything. Like, it's kind of frustrating. Books, even like books that come out today, it's like they have to grab you by the name immediately, by the title immediately. So people say such weird shit sometimes. I don't know. I like Todd in the Shadows better in terms of mean middle-aged music critics. True. I mean, the thing is, I watch sometimes his takes, but I have my own opinion. That's why I don't really care that much because every time he says something, oh, it's good or it's bad, and I don't agree with it, I think to myself, oh, I don't agree, and I just move on. But it is interesting for me to see someone else critique it from a perspective of actually noticing things, like saying things about it in a way that shows that he actually paid attention to the music. You know what I mean? Instead of like random shit. It's this going for easy jabs mentality. Like, the only reason that they can get away with making these jabs is because these men are leftists and take accountability. Go for the bigger fish, the ones actually screwing up the world. Sure. I mean, also, he. I mean, I kind of just don't really care about that situation that much because it's just it's a bunch of inconsequential things. Even if like none of this is actually going to, the discussion of it is mostly just two people and their egos being hurt. It's not about actual misogyny. It's not about the state of the arts. It's not about like politics really. And again, she did say she had cancer when she didn't, which I'm going to be salty about. Yeah, sorry. It is weird. Damn, it's been this long. I swear these streams go by so quick because the discussions are so interesting. I know, I'm always like, fuck, it's been 4 hours? Holy shit. I start to notice it because my throat is really, like, gets really dry. Midnight's TTPD and the, the Life of a Showgirl were all slop, not gonna lie. Yeah, I haven't heard a single Swiftie play songs from Midnight since it released. They always talk about her older albums and not the new ones. I, for example, really love her album Speak Now. Sure, it's not for this Lisa, not for this grown version of me, because I might listen to it, but it's not gonna like touch me in my heart because none of it is for a grown person. You know what I mean? Like, it's for a 19-year-old at most. And I still like that album because I think it was well written. She wrote all the songs herself. I think it was her best in terms of showing off that she can do this on her own and that she can do it in a way that will give her some hits. And I mean, like, obviously they weren't as big as her later career hits, but it's because she became just more famous in general, right? Everyone's rage baiting. It's so annoying. I agree that ultimately we should be focusing on bigger fish, but also I do think we should be able to raise concerns to the people who are supposed to be organizing with. Yeah, I'm still not over the fact we mentioned Shaman today. Shaman, yeah. It's just so weird. Like, I don't know, like when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is some weird ass shit. I saw the performance too, and I saw people in the like crowd, and I was like, they're singing along with him. What the hell? It was enchanting to meet you stuck in my head this week, and it made me tear up. Yeah, it was such a good song, and I love that song. I remember like when it came out, and I was like, I was so little, I just loved that song so much. It genuinely sounded like the word enchanting or like enchanted. It's only the second stream I've been to, but it's nice to see how you guys are regulars at a bar or something and acquaintances already. No, seriously. It's actually so funny the way that everyone's talking in this chat and whatever. Like, everyone has their own dynamics between each other too. Every time Maya comes in, I have to do my lioness. Me and MT making sure Lisa is up to date with Russian pop culture nonsense. Honestly, because I'm so behind. I can tell you historical shit. I can explain political shit. Not the political in terms of like what's happening right now, like in the news or whatever, but in terms of like historically what happened during the revolution, things like that, structural things. But current events, I know nothing. Absolutely nothing. I recently rewatched the Avengers movies because I wanted to see them with my current perspective. And wow, Age of Ultron brazenly combines Nazism with the aesthetics of communist China and USSR. Yeah, don't even start me. This shit. Do you know that the CIA like directly funds it? It's so weird. They're like directly funding these superhero movies. It's about what kind of treatment is okay to accept or not. It's about saying what is wrong or right. All I'm saying is the situation is that Anthony's behavior sucks and other people shouldn't do what he did. I mean, sure. I think she also shouldn't have been saying that she had cancer when she didn't. Again. Which is also something I don't think that people should be taking, because this is not a joke. This is not something that you just use for sympathy points. So, sure, there's a lot more situations in pop culture, or not even pop culture, news mostly, that are more important to be focusing on in terms of how people are treated and how they should be and shouldn't be treated than some rich guy making a critique of some other rich girl or woman. Like, I'm more concerned with the way that people can't fucking afford food nowadays, to be honest, than what they have said to each other. Because nothing they've said to each other is about any social standings. This is not about misogyny. This is not about race. This is quite literally just two egos clashing. Sure, maybe he shouldn't have said that. Whatever he said, I didn't see his Twitter, like what he said on Twitter. Maybe he shouldn't have said that. I think it's weird that he even brought it up, to be honest, because it's been years. How many years has it been? 2 years since her album? 3? Why is it a topic of conversation now? Why are we suddenly talking about it again? Why did he repost it? That's just weird. There was no need to do that. He already said his piece in his review. There's no need to be doing all that. But he did it. So now he's getting backlash from her fans. And like, also, who cares? He can just fucking close his phone. I'm sure they didn't send anybody to his house or something. They're not Nicki Minaj fans. Unless they did that. Unless Halsey fans sent somebody to his house. I think he can just go and like not look at his phone for a day. Because they will come down in like a day. Are we still doing our gaming Sunday streams? Yes. We are. Like very passionate philosophers having a beer, banging at the table to kill billionaires. Yeah, literally. that's the vibe of this live every time. It's like us just like day drinking at a bar and talking about philosophy and politics. Timey, yeah, and a cigarette. Honestly, not me again. Wait, what? Did you smoke, Empty? And no, of course, she should not have said that she had cancer. That's literally insane. She's fucked for that. Yeah, I don't know why she said that, to be honest. But also, maybe she regrets it and she's like moved on from it, you know? I don't want to be talking about it so many years later. Maybe she regrets saying that. And if she is, like, why, there's no need to be jumping her now for it. Any Canadians, I think we get grocery GST money on the 6th. I can't remember. It's next week, though. On the 6th? Oh, fucking thank God. But it's only like $100, isn't it? It's like not even enough for like, what, 2 days? That's how bad our groceries are today. Did you guys see? Milk, $7. Eggs, $6. There's nothing you can buy for $3 at the store anymore. Yeah. I mean, sure. I think that honestly is just because I don't even know why they're talking about it so many years later. I don't understand why. They can have a new beef if they want to. I just don't understand why they have to be bringing that up. Mint gum instead now. Okay, that's a good plan, right? Lisa, don't mention that fandom. I swear you need to be safe, Diva. I'm like at a point where I'm like, whatever. Let's fucking fight. Come over, bitch. Come over, Nicki Minaj, bitch. If you're a Nicki Minaj fan now, after she's been cozying up with pedophiles for that long, is there a preferred way to reach out to you to send you a Steam key for our game? I mean, but perchance email. Just my email, like the Lisa Fevral business at gmail.com. But you could also send it in Discord or on Instagram. I thought it would be 200 like last time. Let me look. I thought it was like 100 something. The movies literally try to critique a social issue, for example, but the attempt falls flat because they fail to see capitalism as a system of segregation and precarity that is actually responsible. Exactly. They treat everything as a separate issue. As if groceries being this expensive is a separate issue from nationalism rising, from people being more unstable and a lot more people who are sick being on the streets and stuff like that, and like not having a home. They all think it's just like random shit that just happens, and it's not one problem. It's genuinely just one problem. Milk, $7. Yeah. Yeah. $7. $7 hairs. It's so bad. $679 if you're a single individual, $890 if you're married or have a common law partner, $234 for each eligible child under the age of 19, but that's from July 2026 to June 2027. Yeah, I think that they're gonna split it. So I don't know, Diva. It's the same rebate that we used to get, but Carney just renamed it. Carney, by the way, guys, last thing I'm gonna say for today. So in Vancouver, they built a bunch of condos, a bunch of apartments that the people who built them wanted to sell them for about like $800 to $1 million, okay? And then those motherfuckers realized they can't sell them, right? Because no one has money. People just don't have the money. They are not about to buy a tiny shoebox of a 1-bedroom for $1 million, okay? So they were like, damn, we can only get people to buy this for like this amount, for example, for like $500K, for example, right? And what do you think our banker, ex-banker, prime minister did? This mofo said, we're gonna buy them from you for the price that you wanted to get initially. No, not half. Canadian dollar is like 0.70, so it's 70% of the dollar. It's not half, it's 70%. So if I'm saying $1 million Canadian, that's 700,000 USD. So he comes in and he says, we're gonna buy it for the price that you wanted initially. Instead of letting the market drop and people actually being able to buy it, he said, I'm gonna use public money to buy from these developers to bail them out. So they don't lose money on these deals. Just saying. They're not using good materials. They're not using good craftsmanship. They're making shoe boxes. And then he came in and he said, we're going to use tax money. Government money is tax money. Tax money. He said we're going to use tax money of Canadian people to buy those condos from you for the actual price. Okay? Okay? For the price that you requested in the beginning, which is a price that no one can afford. They said, we're gonna pay you with public money to this private company. So instead of losing money as a company that is full of greedy motherfuckers who literally made it so none of us will own a single place in our life, not even a shoebox. Okay? He said, I'm gonna use public money to bail this corporation out. But people, on the other hand, are gonna have to own nothing for the rest of their lives because we still can't afford. And even if we can afford it, it's a shoebox for 700,000 USD. Like, I can't do it anymore. I can't. Like, I can't. It's just, they naturalize capitalism as if it was an evil inherent to human existence. Exactly. That's why so many people are like, I hate humanity. You don't hate humanity. You hate capitalism. Get it straight. Get it right. Because hating humanity and wanting to cleaned up or whatever is a Nazi thing to say. Knowing who your enemy is, which is capitalism and capitalists, is the way to go. Your prime minister sounds like a joke, but I can't say shit because our Keir Starmer, fuck, I don't know, got sacked. You're gonna get another one of the same variety, first and foremost. But second of all, Diva Carney sucks so much ass. He is a right-wing, far right-wing little bitch who pretends to be less far right than he is. He said, let me use all these taxes that we cut from healthcare, that we cut from infrastructure, that we cut from arts and education. Let me take all that money and spend it on military supplies to Israel and to bail out corporations so Canadians can't own even a small apartment in their lifetime. He said, say thank you because I'm a liberal though. Say thank you. I'm acting like a conservative. I mean, the thing is, even if he would have been more liberal, liberals are still pieces of shit because they are right-wingers. Liberals, conservatives, all of them are right-wingers and all of them are fuckers. And it's ridiculous to be seeing how he's just doing it publicly. He just goes, I'm gonna take your money, your public money, things that I've taken from you. We pay so much in taxes and we don't see any of it. He said, I'm gonna give it to those guys who gambled on your lives, on your livelihoods. They said those pigs will eat it up anyway. Those pigs will buy those shoe boxes for $1 million. Just make this condos. And when they couldn't sell them, he said, I'm gonna fix it for you, but I'm not gonna fix it for the people. You know, this happened in China once when a corporation did this and they realized they can't sell all the units and whatever, that they kind of like, they inflated the prices and they're in a crisis, in a housing crisis. And the Chinese government bailed out the people. They paid people who were gonna, who invested their money to buy the apartments. You know, like how you can order and like pay down payment to have that apartment kind of like allocated to you. They bailed them out, the people, and they let the corporation fail. The invisible hand, you guys. How about we use the invisible hand of capitalism? Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so that happened and I'm pissed. And every Canadian should be pissed. Okay, anyway, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been great. 4 hours. It is another CCPW. W in the chat for China. China fucking killed it. I think my country is playing the World Cup right now. Help me for a second. I thought someone was banging on my door. Diva, what? Anyway. Yes. You can do it, divas. Great stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Kisses. Don't get depressy because we will fix this. We will be ruthless, swift, and just. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. Anyway, let me play us out with Sexy Back.